This episode of We Are Libertarians is brought to you by Audible.com. Enjoy one free audiobook courtesy of We Are Libertarians. Choose from more than 100,000 audiobook titles, including works by Ron Paul, Walter Block, Murray Rothbard, and the Cato Institute. Audible.com also has audio of radio and TV programs and audio versions of magazines and newspapers. You can get the Audible app on any mobile device or download the audio to your computer. Go to audibletrial.com/WAL or head to WeareLibertarians.com and find the link to get one free month of Audible today. Welcome to the freest edition of We Are Libertarians that has ever existed on the planet.
Woo!
Creighton's back. That's Creighton.
Did you miss me?
This was my life the last 4 months.
Yeah, that is Nick Taylor. Nick, how are you doing?
Good.
Nick is Creighton's roommate. And then Chris Peffers is there as well.
Hello.
For his insightful commentary.
Very insightful.
I just realized. Top Gun. Goose.
They can't
Yes.
They can't see you pointing.
I know.
And then Greg's here too.
Hello, how are you?
See, the good thing, excuse me, if you, there's a couple good things about this podcast.
Just a couple.
All good things about this
All
podcast.
good things about this podcast. Number one is if you listen to last week's episode with Melissa, you could hear my voice getting rougher and rougher. I started to sound like Diane Reeves by the end of it. I was like, Melissa, what are you doing?
It was slightly higher pitched, too. There was the occasional pubescent squeal.
Archie.
I completely lost my voice on Friday. I was unable to speak all day Friday and Saturday. And then
I bet your coworkers were very thrilled.
Oh, they were laughing their ass off because I was like squeaking and making noises and like
Jeff Brivert probably was happy as can be because you couldn't go around annoying everybody in the office.
Go check out Jeff's. Jeff, actually, it's going to be posted tomorrow when we post this. So the day that this is posted, go to check out Jeff Fibbert's podcast in the iTunes store, and I'm his latest guest. Very insightful podcast from your dear leader. And I was his first, so there's two in that feed for me.
You were his first.
Well, someone had to teach him how to podcast.
And you can swipe that card whenever you want.
I was thorough and gentle with it. So, as you can tell, my voice is not up to snuff. It sounds in my head a little bit deeper. I sound like Barry White in my head, but I probably don't sound any deeper to you people. And I have a cough that has persisted for a week, so I have taken cough medicine. And it just literally kicked in.
Are you loopy?
He's high as a kite.
I am high as fuck. And
Peppers, you are not the highest person on this podcast.
Let's not go that far.
Give me 20 minutes.
3 brownies, 20 minutes, and 1 vaporizer. And 2 nights this week, I took my cough medicine, took 50% more than I was supposed to take, and then I took 2 Benadryl, and I was out by 6 p.m., and I slept all the way to 4:30 the next morning.
Not true. I specifically remember you waking up several times and messaging me incoherence. and
true.
Then right back to sleep.
Hannah Drozic, one of those nights was last night, and Hannah Drozic messaged me. She's like, it was like 8:30, and she's like, "Did you know Gordon Ramsay is in a movie?" I'm like, and
What
I was
movie?
like, I don't know. It's
Oh, my God.
something about cooking, and
Of course. Really? Are you sure?
Yeah.
And so she sent me this message. I hope I still have it. I wrote, she goes, "Did you know Gordon Ramsay is in a movie? W_TWF. Awesome as fuck."
Yeah. that was pretty much what you had going for you the last couple nights you've been on Benny's.
I've not been well, so I've just been enjoying myself and.
So that's why this is the freest podcast.
Yeah, my mind is so expanded right now.
Uninhibited.
So I'm on cough medicine. The other good part is that Creighton's here, so I don't really need to talk a lot.
Woo! It's been a while.
It has been, but Creighton is never to be forgotten because he's only one Ric Flair woo away.
I am the Rolex wearing,
Now,
diamond ring wearing.
so you need to go check out. Today is July 2nd. what happened on July 2nd, Creighton?
The Lee Resolution in 1776 was officially passed, so today is the actual Independence Day. Suck it, King George!
So if you go to July 2nd on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, you can see the absolute magnificence of what Creighton is wearing today. It is a skin-tight, sleeveless shirt in the American flag style.
It's tank top.
Tank top.
Because that's not a shirt.
It's kind of a high collar for a tank top.
It is.
Sound like something
It's really not a tank top because it doesn't
was like
dip down.
$15 on Amazon.
It's kind of
right?
formal, actually, with the height of the collar.
Are you saying?
I'm saying you could put a white blazer over that and probably go to a wedding.
And then he's wearing American
Dude,
flag.
that would be like Crockett. On
You can't
4th of
fly a
July.
Confederate flag.
No, can't do
And
that.
you can't burn an American flag, but you
Well,
can.
I don't want anyone to think.
But you can put an American flag right next to your genitals and rub them all over it.
Hey, ain't nothing going to celebrate freedom more than that.
And
Dank freedom.
he's wearing aviators and an American flag bandana.
Ooh, yeah.
And so we also have on Instagram a little video of him getting pumped before the podcast.
We're an American podcast.
Full liberation was indeed.
Is this what he's like all the time, Nick?
It just depends on how active Rand Paul has been recently.
There's nowhere to hide a Rand boner in that outfit.
No.
Hey, these ain't John Travolta shorts, all right? There's
Right.
plenty of room.
Yeah, we can see all your runs and your Pauls.
Anyone that would like to see that meme, I've actually made it of Spangle before.
Oh well, this is going to be quite the episode. It was nice having Nick and Chris here.
Yeah, see
Just
ya.
take it, relax. The three of us will just sit back, comfortable.
You guys have fun.
No, yeah,
Like, all right, everybody.
Greg brought beer, so Creighton can just keep going.
Yeah.
Peffers
fine.
Peffers
We're
was
good
like,
to go.
so we've been planning Freedom Fest for 2 to 4 weeks.
Randapalooza.
Yeah, Creighton's a busy man. You got to schedule him, and
Well,
I had to run
I can
into
do-
him drunk at a
I
bar
can-
to even see him.
I can do the derivative of the hyperbolic inverse cosine.
well, that's great. But I need you on a podcast. So, which is more important to your future?
School is for fools, kids.
Yeah, drop out and pursue your dreams.
Yeah.
Which is clearly,
Doing
Just
inverse
doing your
hyperbolic-
podcast for free.
impregnating a bald eagle.
It's
That's a
hybrid.
whole new meaning to a crying bald eagle.
Yeah. So Nick, how many times do you hear Toby Keith blaring in the middle of the night?
I mean, it never stops. So once,
Is that what
it's
you?
just, if it's just a constant blare.
There was a scratch on the CD.
Oh, and then do you hear Liberty? I'm coming.
I just play the national anthem on my guitar,
that's what
on
happens.
repeat.
Oh, I missed that.
Oh,
I don't.
totally-
It's one of the most obnoxious things that has ever happened in my home. Creighton walks.
Because I was just melting faces.
Creighton walks into my home, unannounced, unasked.
Whatever. We were there for the podcast.
I know, and you played the guitar the whole time.
No, I played the guitar.
Did your wife ever come back from getting groceries?
No, I'd say too soon, but I'm loving life too much compared to back then. That's for sure. The old days are old for a reason.
That's right. Because she died.
No, just to me.
Yeah.
Someone just texted me crazy pants, like right at the exact same time we started talking about my ex-wife. Hilarious. So THC level, what are we at? Like a positive 14 on a scale of 20? What are we at?
It's just like a continuum, right?
All right. Yeah, you can't stop the train.
Stop
Yeah.
labeling.
Yeah.
Right.
Tyranny of the binary.
Right. All right. Well,
Oh my god.
what? Is it James?
Tyranny of the binary.
The tyranny of the binary. James Neese writes,
Oh, gosh.
if you aren't in our super secret group, you need to go. You need to message the We Are Libertarians Facebook page, and we'll hook you up. But it's what is the name of it? I forget because I.
The We Are Libertarians Educational Inner Circle or
Institution for Higher Learning.
Yeah.
Yes. No, the We Are Libertarians Educational Institute of Higher Liberty Learning. You can ask to join there. James Neese is on a tear today.
He is active.
He's always active.
What was it today?
Oh my god, the
I
thing
think
you
that
posted
dude,
about
I think
you.
that dude has his Facebook page hooked up to his brain.
He might have more energy than you, Creighton.
So James writes, Greg Lenz, I have 13,281 wall points.
Oh God.
I think
Oh God.
I think I have enough to plow Aaron Ewert's wife.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
It literally is their anniversary.
11 years today. And I'm cashing them in today. Chris Spangle, note this in my wall account. I'm going raw.
I thought he already went too hard in the paint.
And Aaron, in a private message that James screenshotted and wrote,
And what was the secret group that Chris is not going to tell everybody?
Aaron writes, stop, LOL. James writes, top, keck. I don't know what that means. Aaron,
Kek is Orcish for law. It's from
okay.
World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
All right.
It means it's one of the funniest things you can put.
Aaron writes, trying to fuck me out of lovemaking tonight. Shut up.
Peffers for the win over here.
That is a true story.
Aaron wrote that? Yeah. Well, guess Becky's going to be accepting that friend request because that's going to be leverage.
James Neese writes, let me three-way with you guys. Wall life. Cashing in my wall points for some Eiffel Tower action. And Aaron writes, no. James Neese writes, oh, I get it. You're an ANCAP. $50 in Bitcoins. Oh. And then James, I said, you ain't dear leader, bitch. Prima Nocta is mine. It's my turn. And James writes, Duke Greg Lenz, House of No Jews, Blacks, or Catholics on the course. Earl Joe Ruiz, the House of 40 Relatives in one Dodge van. And
Pay your bills, Joe.
Lord James Neese, the House of Woolcaps and Old Mercedes. So that is the fun we are having there. That James, I'll tell you, man, he is out of
Sounds
control.
like everyone's having a lot of fun, yeah.
It's going to be a new brutalist.
He decided to troll my post about Joe Biden, and but a really good friend's dad had made the mistake of commenting and saying, I don't even know you anymore, and his name's, it sounds like a local southern suburb of Indianapolis, and he goes, Beach Grove, why is the trailer park friends with you?
I'll tell you what, now that he's partying less hard than he used to when I knew him several years ago, he is definitely getting funnier and funnier. So
He's way more coherent.
and you'll have to.
It's like literally what happens if you upload 4chan into a robot.
Yeah, like he is the living incarnation of 4chan. Did you? I know I'm not going to presume that you listened to the podcast in which you found it, but if you go, have you heard the podcast with James Neese from a few weeks ago? Oh my God,
It was pretty fantastic.
It was great. He dropped a parallel, like he just out of nowhere. He's like, dog, fuck Joe Ruiz and these parallel Mexicans.
And then it just
The last time
it
I
entered
was
the
on the podcast
lexicon.
with him, last time I was on the podcast with him, I think we lost listeners. So
he was 2 hours late. Then he did a story time with Gina or an Untouchables episode with Maya and was like talking about how he was dumpster diving.
no, I'm talking about the one where we argued about mutualism or something.
That's the one when he
right,
was 2 hours late and he showed up, his card broken down, and he showed up and he had $100 in his wallet, and that was it. He had a $100 bill, and Spangle had just asked him about, what are you doing with your life, son? And he pulls that $100 bill and he goes, how many guys do you know that just got $100 in their pocket?
That episode's somewhere in the 30s, and his name is in the title if you want to go hear the majesty that is James Neese. So, Creighton, what have you been up to? What are you doing?
school, work.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah?
nothing too exciting.
How's the...
I
How's
can
the
tell by your attire, nothing too exciting
Yeah.
going on.
Well, that's because America's Independence Day is in 2 days.
I was going to turn up his mic so we could hear him, but then I'm glad I didn't. Now, how is the prom queen of Liberty? That's what we all want to know.
She's good.
She's good? All right. Everything good?
She's back in L.A.
There are
last-
many young men listening to this podcast right now hoping you say things are bad. They're going to be sliding in them DMs.
They are not.
All right.
Okay.
Sucks to be you.
She's finishing up her last semester before she'll have a master's degree. So.
Nice.
When are you guys getting wed?
Yeah, when's the marriage? Kids? 4?
All right.
Minivan? You can get a
All
minivan?
right.
Minivan?
Is this too much?
No, yes.
Are you getting a little squeamish?
Yeah, someone has managed to shut up.
Hey,
Creighton
he's sitting right here. I can make it way more awkward, okay? I can take it to an 11.
Now, Nick, you've met Whitney. You have met her. Yes.
I know I'm not going to do that to you, Nick Taylor.
No, but I remember we haven't got to discuss with Creighton as a as a group. How's Whitney? Are they good? How's their relationship as an outsider that observes it?
I mean, I really only got to observe in passing because, like, we're both pretty busy people. But Whitney seems like a cool enough person.
Did he bench press her in front of you?
What makes you? What on earth makes you think that I would do that?
I just assume that if
That's
you're
the thing that Creighton does in private.
the way that
whenever I know someone well enough, like, hey, why don't you let me bench press you?
I'm just assuming.
Want to see a trick?
Hey, Whitney, let's show him the thing. Let's show him the thing.
You know what I'm picturing is what is that show Dirty Dancing where he lifts her up?
Yeah, no one puts baby in a
but
corner,
with Creighton,
right?
he puts on that song and he just lays down on a bench and lifts her up in the air.
He lifts her,
partner, like,
he throws her up in
shaking
the
right
air and her head goes through the ceiling. I'm just guessing that that's the way that you woo a woman. You grab her arm, you grab her leg, and then you start just doing bicep curls. Oh, that's my leg. I'm sorry. I'm nervous.
It is.
Nick,
I felt a vibration, a tremor.
Nick legit thought there was an earthquake, but it was just my massive. my
I was very confused. I had a few beers at Shallows before I came here.
Did you?
I wasn't sure if I was.
I have a nervous
if my
tick.
equilibrium was off, or
I shake my leg. So
It's a tick.
now, Nick, this may be one of your final podcasts here for a while. You are leaving the area. You are going to be gone and probably not forgotten.
hopefully not.
Maybe. It depends on how much Peffers has
I
smoked.
mean, I just met you last podcast.
If Peffers walks in,
Yeah, I can smoke so much everyone forgets.
it's possible, man.
They get a contact memory loss.
Everybody needs a life mission, man. Contact memory.
I bet you could get federal funds to study that. I guarantee it.
All you got to do is say that it's religious research for
Actually,
Phillips
Scientist and
This is a
the
very
test
serious
subject in
issue
one.
close to my heart. But marijuana research is not being funded.
No,
No.
because it's been illegal.
It's illegal. So, like, there are lots of other, like, cocaine research has been funded.
How's that make you feel?
It makes me feel bummed out. It's a serious bummer.
Worse than when
That's
a
the
cop
only-
shoots a black person.
What kind of comparison is that?
Because cops shooting
end of
black
the
people
100th
really
episode.
bums
I
me
know,
out.
I know.
Really bums me out, man.
I just wanted to rate
No,
it
cops
on
shooting-
the continuum.
Cops
How
shooting
bummed that is
anyone
it?
bums me out. Let me
Yes.
clarify that.
Honestly, people being shot.
Yeah.
In
It's a
general.
bummer.
It's a bummer.
It is a bummer. I think we can all agree.
I don't believe
the
in
listeners.
universals.
Do not take the word bummer lightly.
I don't think
Bummer in this context means something way more.
Bummer-
Yeah, it's terrible. Like,
Bummer in
rape
this
is a bummer.
context is a big bummer.
Did you just hear that? Rape's a bummer, man.
I'm triggered.
I know. You got him all flustered.
I'm like crying.
I know. I'm so triggered.
And you guys didn't want me to invite Peffers. Which really bummed him out.
No,
Like
I
what
thought we
kind-
were all
like rape level bum. or
we are
what?
cool, but every time we have over 4, it turns into an absolute madhouse. And this absolutely proves that theory.
I mean, what do we have to talk about this week?
the Ronimal and the Randomal.
No, let me
Yeah.
say, the absolute worst. Worse than like when we had 12 people for the 100th. The worst podcast that we ever did that I just could not control at all was you and I, Creighton, Maya, and
Oh my
Gina.
god.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
that
my
was the
God.
Boston bombing episode.
Yes.
And the Boston
And,
bombing.
when they were getting flustered, that's when I'd had enough and said I'd black out the skies with drones and missiles and eliminate the Middle East. And that got everybody all rustled.
That just sounds like a massacre.
I know.
Like, those people.
Believe
You
it
have
or-
to threaten, though, or else people don't take you seriously.
Believe it or not, Creighton has matured despite that outfit. I mean, in the early days of the podcast,
I think that outfit shows a lot of maturity.
no,
personally,
there was like
How about what 300 and something years of maturity, right?
yeah, or
200
200 some.
Technically 249.
200
Next year will be the
whatever.
250th.
He knows
That
calculus.
almost rounds up
he
to
does
300.
arithmetic.
I can
with
do the
his calculus.
derivative of it.
Yeah,
you should drop out and come join the podcast. So
drop out of college, do this podcast for free. That's your life.
So, like,
That
the first, all the 2012
terrible.
episodes, the first 30 episodes or whatever, they were at Rupert's headquarters, and Creighton was, like, dialed in and knowledgeable. And it's not that you haven't been knowledgeable, but there was that time when we went to my apartment where I lived with my wife, where you just lost control. You're, like, bringing electric guitars, and, like, Greg would be in the middle of a history lesson, and then you just start playing Hendrix.
That happened one time, and it was glorious.
And I was talking about the NWO, and he played Hulk Hogan's entrance music. He played Voodoo Child, I believe.
hey,
Yeah, brother.
It
Mel-
was,
Mel faces. What you gonna do?
and then you went to work for y'all, and you got much more mature, except for that time that you passed out drunk in the middle of
And
another
that had
podcast.
nothing to
Did
do
not.
with
Did not.
Did not.
Allegedly.
He didn't.
I also didn't pass out.
No, he was still at the party.
So,
he
all
was
right,
just taking a nap.
you don't work there anymore, and we have reposted the episode, unedited. I think it was like
81.
81. And you are. We begin with you giving the Independence Day
I was asked to
speech.
give the Independence Day speech by Greg and Joe.
No,
Right.
and like the other y'allers.
Maybe.
And we
but
egged it on and encouraged
you totally
it.
egged it on.
We
To be
probably
fair, that's not
I'm pretty
a long
sure you. I'm
speech.
pretty sure you initialized the
we
egging
said
of the
that he
on.
does an incredible Independence Day speech, and then the people started chanting Creighton.
This is shortly.
It's like a
this-
20-second speech.
This is shortly after the CPAC party of the last one, not the most recent one, but the one before that.
Rand won the first straw poll.
When Rand was there, and we had a party at the house I lived at, and I gave a toast that was like a speech. It was like a cheesy Dr. Seuss poem supporting Rand Paul.
It was a lot
And,
like cocktails.
Yeah, it was just like a joke. Everybody was there and like was watching, and it was like just big cheers and all this, and it got covered in Breitbart London. Somebody at the party worked for Breitbart London, so that party made international news, and it was a hit piece though. And so shortly after
Made
that,
it even funnier.
yeah. So shortly after that is when we had the other speech, the Independence Day speech. What's funny though, the follow up hit piece, like we had the hit piece, and then we all were like arguing with the guy, and the follow up hit piece was by some other girl, and like the incriminating photo was a picture of our wall where we had like John Locke up to Ron Paul and all these history of like thinkers, like liberty thinkers, and they're like, these guys are crazy.
It was
I
a
like,
hate piece against we are libertarians.
hate piece against us.
Again,
No,
Against us at the
he was-
party.
yeah.
Y'all.
Like,
it was against.
okay.
it was against the people at the party.
Yeah.
They were typecasting us as
Yeah.
libertarians, quote, in general.
okay.
But like
Breitbart.
the Rand
Breitbart.
Paul supporters. But anyway,
Yeah.
the picture was of our wall where it was like John Locke, and it went all the way up to Ron Paul, and in between there was like Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, Murray Rothbard, all these libertarian thinkers and stuff. And they're like implying that this is crazy, rah, rah, rah. And I'm just like, we got pictures of like famous thinkers on our wall, and you think we're crazy. Like, and then we go to Thomas Jefferson's house, and he's got John Locke and
Thomas Paine
and Tom and Sir Francis Bacon
Yeah.
on the wall.
So
So like Thomas Jefferson, this crazy libertarian.
So the question I was going to ask, so we put up this podcast, and you give the Independence Day speech, and then Greg and Joe are in a hotel room, and they say that, don't do that, don't open that with your teeth, that's a beer.
Creighton's gonna
Oh,
lose
No.
a tooth tonight.
He is in his American flag tank top. We can't tell him not to open a beer with his teeth.
oh God! Do you have your chew with you?
No,
Ugh.
don't do that anymore.
Yeah, he quit.
Good. And so they jokingly say that you're passed out drunk behind them as they're doing the podcast. You get called into the principal's office that next week. What happened? Why did I have to take a podcast
No,
out?
before that email came out, he just all of a sudden in the middle of the day, and Creighton's not real active in chat. It just said, GD, guys. And Joe and I immediately knew what had happened. But we would have never thought in a million years
He
Michael
said-
Frazee would listen
That's
to We
the
Are
risk you
Libertarians.
take
No,
coming
yeah,
on the
so
podcast. It's
Jeff-
unfiltered.
Founding it.
So Jeff got it. I'm sure it was because you guys put Young Americans for Liberty in the description. So he gets a Google alert anytime something pops up on the internet that says Young Americans for Liberty. So I got an email from him, and he's like, basically like saying that this is a fireable offense if you're drinking in front of people that like you're at work and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God.
And to our credit, all we said was you were passed out. We didn't say why or what caused you to be passed out.
Well, I got the impression that it wasn't so. It was the speech more than you guys implying that he was drunk.
We never put that out at all. Like that didn't come out. Like it was on YouTube, and that was just for us.
No, it
No,
was
no,
at the
it was at the beginning of the podcast.
You guys-
No, but like
At the-
I thought you took that out.
No,
Yeah.
no, and it's still there.
I should have listened to that episode
It
before
starts
sharing
off
it.
with me giving this speech, and he's like, "So
They
he,
were mad that you gave the Independence Day speech?
no, I wasn't mad. Like
I said they were.
Those people.
It was
Yeah,
clear. It was
the
clear.
people who are trying to
It was
fire
clear
you.
that sober minds did not prevail.
They were just not happy that we implied that he was wasted. Well,
in this
Because
party we were
libertarians
at.
never drink.
So he
don't
effectively
do any of that.
scared the crap out of me. So
So
it
he-
worked.
I messaged him and sent him a big long email, and then he was like, "Don't worry about it, man. I'm just trying to scare him." And I was like, "Oh, thank God! Now I can really rustle him."
yeah, we took it down and we just put it back up like in April or so. But I mean that it was down for about a year, I would say, because that would have
Till
been
his last paycheck cleared.
Yeah, exactly. Once he left, we put it back up. But yeah,
you guys are great.
yeah,
We should put it out with this one.
that
Good
was
luck
dur-
getting your next job.
that was during my lost.
Yeah.
That was during my lost weekend. So if you listen to the one from the end of February in 2014,
Remember we drunk dialed Spangle from my car.
Oh yeah,
From your car.
I was like six shotguns in at that point.
Yeah.
So.
I
Do you remember it was raining so hard and like we went to this liquor store and like
Random
we're
as
just
can be.
just sprinting through the parking lot to this liquor store and got like a 12-pack of PBR and like
we got a lot.
yeah we got a lot and we go to
lot.
this party and we're drinking all this. I'm pretty sure I finished all the PBR I think but like I just remember it was so funny because we're sprinting through the rain like you guys are like, oh don't worry, the hotel's not far, we'll walk, and it was like sprint. It was so raining so hard.
And so we ran back to my car, and then
Yeah.
we drove the car to the party. And that party, I would guess we were about one of five that could probably provide the Sabbath,
I
Provide the Sabbath.
plead the fifth.
sacramental
plead
holy
Oh,
water.
okay.
Plead the fifth all over that one, man.
The other ones were like
the one they
convicted
go
felons
now.
or something.
Yeah, it was because everybody else was a criminal, not
Yeah.
because anyone was underage.
No,
all right. Well,
we wouldn't do that even as libertarians.
No.
we should get to some topics.
Yes.
we should
We
talk.
were
about
on some topics.
We were on
technically.
topics, but we need to talk about things and stuff. So we are going to talk mostly about 2016. There is a troubling trend amongst some of you libertarians that we need to discuss. And with Creighton here,
Is it Bernie Sanders?
yes.
Oh my god.
Oh.
And-
Worst trend ever.
It
Yeah.
is a little troubling, yes.
It's
Like-
the hipstertarians. That's
Oh
what
my
it is.
God. Is
It's
that-
the hipsters.
And then we're going
It's
to
the
talk
douchebags.
We're
It's
gonna
just
talk-
douchebags.
He's all right as
The douchebag Aryans.
And we're off. Greg, why don't you tell us about Bernie Sanders, and I'll explain what we're going to talk about later when we finally get to it.
Well, Uncle Bernie is off to a perceived hot start because he's starting from nothing, and so that's what all literally that's what all the fake excitement's over. Is he's
it's-
starting from a guy who literally. Lincoln Chaffee's also another guy running for the Democratic presidency,
Yeah.
governor of Rhode Island.
Let's make everything metric.
And so like Lincoln Chaffee getting one donation is 100% increase.
Yeah.
And so that's basically where Bernie Sanders was starting from, but for whatever reason he caught fire. Like
No, it's
the left,
because
It's
Reddit.
'cause people
It's
are
Reddit.
It's
the
Ron Paul
Democrats
version
are sick.
Democrat.
Yeah.
They're sick
got-
of Hillary and
but
stuff.
that isn't Bernie Sanders. That is not Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is technically an independent, but Bernie Sanders caucuses with the Democrats and votes with the Democrats
Yeah.
97% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To say that he's Ron Paul of the left is to say that Ted Cruz
Well,
is the new Ron Paul.
No, he's got
Ron
some of the
Paul
same
argued
appeal.
as a
He does because he's
was a
kind of your
Republican,
old
wasn't
quirky
he?
grandpa.
Yeah,
and-
he's
got
just
some of the same
Yeah,
appeal.
I'll tell
That's
you,
all I was saying.
I mean, Bernie Sanders is running as an
Yeah,
independent.
but like
Or
so
isn't-
there is
he's
that
not running
comparison
as one.
there.
he's like the savior for the Reddit the our politics who
That's-
fell out
yeah.
of
Tumblr.
of Elizabeth Warren.
That's exactly who it is. He
Reddit
replaced
loves-
Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And it's
Yeah.
like, and Elizabeth
he's-
Warren's like, I could support Bernie Sanders. Like, oh God, that could be a game changer. It's like, yeah, whatever. No,
But
it's
no,
not.
no, because
Elizabeth Warren's support isn't it?
and
Game
like
changer
the rumor
or
is that
anything.
Elizabeth Warren got promised Secretary of Labor by Hillary Clinton for agreeing not to run. And so if that's the case, then it went from a field that was already no one on the left because Hillary Clinton was running.
Yeah.
To now it's a field of Bernie Sanders, who in any other Democratic primary would not get any traction at all. None. Like he'd be the kook fringe left. He might have a debate home run, and
He'd be Dennis Kucinich.
he'd be Dennis Kucinich. And so, and like for,
And,
as a Republican,
and
he's-
his armpits would stink.
But I mean, you could kind of say the same thing about Rand Paul.
no, because Rand Paul's literally polling
Wait,
in the
stop.
top 3 in
Yeah.
leading
Spangle didn't.
states.
Spangle
Rand Paul
didn't,
consistently pulls
Spangle
in
did
the
not
top.
get that joke.
And you're talking about a huge
Is Bernie Sanders
Republican
not
field.
Bernie
consist in
Sanders
the top
is
3?
surging in the. Well, yeah, because there's 3 candidates.
Yeah.
But he's
It's
surging in the
different.
polls, and he's
It's
down
different 'cause
35
of-
in one
yeah.
state and 29 in the other one.
And he's getting destroyed in fundraising.
Yeah, and like like the Bloomberg Politics today, he raised $15 million in 2 months, which is awesome.
Guys, it doesn't matter. Polls this far in advance don't mean crap.
Yeah.
Not to mention, national
that.
polls the day before an election never mean crap. Like a national poll is meaningless. The only ones that matter are the ones that are either maybe statewide polls.
fundraising-
Polls
the
actually have a
fundraising
bigger
alongside
audience
of
than
it.
an election, even before.
But
even
I'm
like
just
the
saying,
day
There
before,
is, though, an
like,
issue, though.
Like
the
there's
fundraising
this,
alongside of it does
No, this is
tell
my
a
point.
story,
This is
though.
my point. Donald Trump is polling like second for Republicans. If anyone thinks Donald Trump is going to be the second most powerful candidate in the Republican primary, they need to go jump off a building.
No,
because they're
everyone
stupid.
Definitely going to be
But
the
he's
number
po-
one guy drawing TV eyes.
He's polling well, but that doesn't mean anything because polls don't matter.
He's gonna fall off
People
as soon as
pull
the
for
debates
him.
come. As soon as the debates hit Donald Trump, he's
What
gonna
matters
fall.
is how much money you can raise and how many volunteers you can get.
That's what I'm saying.
I tend to on Rand. The problem with Bernie is there's a big discrepancy of Bernie polls Rand voters, which is like you would never expect in a million years.
It's so stupid for the
but
reasons he does.
that's the way it is.
It's
Bernie
not-
is
that's not
pulling
gonna
voters
hold.
and supporters from Rand Paul.
It's not going to hold.
It won't because Bernie won't get the Democratic nomination.
But in Iowa and
wait,
New
him
and
Hampshire,
Rand-
it matters a
him and
ton.
Rand are never
Guys,
gonna face
you
each
guys
other.
are talking about a horse race that the
It
horses
does
haven't
matter
even been
because
born
Those
yet.
two,
Yeah,
the
is
first
there
2
anyone
states,
else
that's
that
the only
might be
reason it
voting
matters.
Democrat?
That's exactly
Because
They're
right.
not gonna be voting
I really don't
Republican.
see Hillary Clinton making the nomination either. Like, I mean, I guess she's the favorite, but
Unless a scandal.
How much did you smoke today?
Yeah, Hillary Clinton's
I
going to
mean,
walk.
I feel
is
like
gonna walk in
people
with
are
It's the
getting sick of
Clintons.
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary
had
still
but-
doesn't have a real challenger yet.
No, the only real challenger is if
That's
Joe
what I'm
Biden
saying.
were to
as
get
soon
in.
as like a real challenger shows up, Hillary's going to start losing
There-
ground.
there
She's
isn't
not going to
one.
know how to handle
I
that.
just don't think the Democrats will produce one. I
I
don't think
think
they
they
want
could.
to.
She's buying them all
I don't
off
think
with
they want
promises
to.
of the
Okay,
secretary
but-
cabinet
Dude,
position.
she's going to walk in with it.
The only real challenger is Jim Webb, and he's so brand new, and he just announced today. But Jim Webb is going to be that he has the chance in the modern era. You can win a primary. You can win a state without much of a staff if you're a rock star, like Herman Cain and Newt Gingrich
Yeah.
pulled off in the last GOP
All
primary.
Jim Webb needs is the media push that he will eventually get.
And people love that guy. Like he is an incredible orator.
It's going to be the same as Ben Carson. It's going to be the same thing.
And like, except he's got chops. Like he was
Yeah.
against the Iraq War. His son was in Iraq. When George W. Bush saw him after the invasion, he, in the White House, he goes, "How's your boy doing?" And Jim
Yeah.
Webb has the balls to say to him, "Well, I'd like to get him out of Iraq." And Bush says to him, "That's not what I asked." And he goes, "Well, sorry about it, bud." To the president, called him Bud.
Sorry, bud.
Yeah. And so like, there's part of me that
You
likes
call
Jim
the
Webb.
president Bud if it's George Bush, though.
True, it is Bush, but like, but Jim Webb is a guy that's Jim Webb's a guy that he was Reagan's undersecretary of the Navy, so second in command, and so he's got bipartisan appeal. He's going to kill Hillary's white middle class voters, or the male middle class voters that she has to have if she's going to win a presidential nomination.
You know what drives me crazy about all of this, though, is it's really a moot point like if you get anyone other than Rand Paul in that nomination, it's a moot point because Hillary's gonna win the Democratic nomination, and if anyone is up there that cannot pull Democratic votes, which is basically anyone but Rand Paul, then she's going to walk into the presidency.
No one else can attack
I'm
her
just
on
saying-
any position other than like scandals. The
Exactly.
only thing that they're going to go up there and be like, "You didn't do Benghazi, you didn't do this," and like Randall do that too. But Randall also be like, "You didn't go to Ferguson. You were for the Iraq War. You were against gay marriage before you were for it." Like all this kind of stuff, and like no one else is going to be able to make that call because the Republicans are right there with her.
Into a loss.
I don't think Chris Christie's going to make the first round of the debates.
No,
Yeah.
Chris Christie.
Chris Christie's going to get worn out before he makes it to the podium.
Strong point.
I do too, and I just don't think he
Chris
like right
Christie
now.
might
He's,
have a
to think
stroke.
Chris Christie didn't have any appeal, but then I saw his town hall meetings.
he's great at it, but he's not going to get
he's
there.
a pretty big
No.
bully
Hey.
when it comes.
But
his
he's
debate
smart.
Style.
I mean, he's a former prosecutor.
I'm so
So-
excited for the Republican debates because I think
Hey,
Rand
Ted
Paul is the only
Cruz
one
is
who
good at
could
town halls
handle
too, right?
Chris Christie's
I mean,
debate
no.
style.
Because
No, Chris Christie's got a
He's not
natural
as good as
leadership
Chris
quality.
Christie.
My
that,
point
like,
is
Ted Cruz
that
doesn't.
listen, you guys, we're looking at these things from like from an optics perspective.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it, the nuts and bolts, the machinery of how political campaigns work is who can get the volunteers out and who can get the most money raised. Occasionally, you do have a candidate that is just an out of nowhere guy who is just like filling some void that no one.
Well-
I know, like Obama was that in 2008.
Yeah. How long
Obama was that-
Obama?
But he still had
When
the
did Obama
fundraising to
become
go
the
with it.
favorite?
No, listen. My point is that Obama in 2008 was this guy who was this young, fresh guy who was a Democrat. He was to the left of Hillary, and it was just something that Democrats were wanting.
Yeah.
But by and large, those are the anomalies to the rule.
I just-
Another one is
I
Ron
feel
Paul.
like
He's this guy
Hillary-
that came out of nowhere and ignited this grassroots people that stayed active afterwards. No one stayed active for John McCain after John McCain went. But the thing is like, if you're going to have a strong campaign, it takes money and it takes volunteers. It doesn't take people saying on polls and going and saying that Macy's is, they're settling a lawsuit with because they hate black people or whatever the heck Donald Trump said about Macy's.
No, Donald,
My point is, but the thing is like, if you can look at optics all you want, but when it comes down to it, whoever has name recognition matters, but whoever has money, whoever has volunteers is what counts, and Hillary's got both.
Well, I feel like
Out the
Hillary's
wazoo.
always
Walking
had
into
that,
Exactly,
but
and
she hasn't gotten anywhere.
That's
But
what
she
scares me
the only
about-
reason she lost in 2008 was because Obama was that anomaly candidate.
And
That
well,
doesn't
I
happen.
feel
but
like
everyone's
there's always an
at one-
anomaly that
like
stands
like
in Hillary
Reagan.
Clinton's way.
Reagan
But
was
the
that
difference
anomaly
is
candidate
Obama
back in
got
2080
the fundraising
or
too.
1980.
Obama stole that fundraising,
And that's
and
if
the thing
Bernie
about the
Sanders can't
Republican
get the
Party
fundraising.
is like that's what scares me about Rand is he's not going to steal any fundraising. Like he's just not going.
It depends.
Well,
It depends.
but the
Right
Republican
now,
Party's
right
so
now,
split.
no. Right now, Rand Paul is not going to have access to the same donors that people like Jeb Bush does because he's Rand Paul and they're the other guys, and he's like anybody can win, but Rand Paul, he'd be terrible. But when push comes to shove and everybody starts dropping out, and if Rand Paul's volunteer basis is worth its salt, like I think it is, and he's still got some money, he still has some money raising capabilities. Push comes to shove, and he's actually he's there with other people, and some people are dropping out. Then some donors are going to start being like, "Wow, this guy, he's a strong candidate. He's Republican, whatever." And they're going to because Republicans,
Well, he's got thicker skin than most
yeah,
Republicans.
but people tend to forget that Republicans are so spineless when it comes to campaigns. They like to talk a big game and say how they're going to support the small government guy, that they want the real conservative and all this kind of stuff. But when it comes down to it, all you got to do is say that Hillary's going to win, and they get scared and they vote for Mitt Romney. And that's how it works every time. The donors are the same freaking way.
Yeah, well, with the Democrats, Obama will bite his tongue, and he will push his organization to support the Democratic nominee, whomever it may be, because he doesn't want the Republicans to win the White House, especially.
Tell your cat to stop digging its claws in me.
Oh, push her off! Sorry. Is that
She's got a claw stuck in me.
Mittens
All right.
gets you every time you're here. She must love weed.
She
So
keeps sniffing my pocket. I don't know why.
that's a drug sniffing cat, son. Stand up and empty your pockets. But Obama
Wish
doesn't.
I would empty my
Mainly
pockets.
because of the Supreme Court, the Democrats aren't going to want to lose, so Obama will push because all those justices that are liberal leaning are older, like people like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And Creighton's right. The Republicans are going to push whoever the nominee is. Rand is a second tier candidate. And when Ted Cruz drops out, his supporters are going to go to Rand, not Jeb Bush. When Scott Walker's people drop out, half are going to go to Jeb, half are going to go to Rand.
Mike Huckabee's one that people are underestimating a ton. The guy won Iowa last time.
they're not.
I don't think anyone's ever underestimated Mike Huckabee.
Mike
They
Huckabee.
did in 2008, but he's a known quantity at this point.
He
won
So
Iowa.
was Mitt Romney.
So what?
I guess he won.
So what? Like
That
so
kind of
what?
matters.
Rick Santorum. Everyone thought Rick Santorum won Iowa for a bit,
But that's because those are the same voting
but
base.
Rick
Bleh.
Santorum is running
No.
this year, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's not gonna
The
make the
people
base.
that we think are joke candidates, it's like Occam's razor. The simplest answer is most likely the right one. If they look like a joke, they sound like a joke. If they're perceived as a joke right now, they're probably a joke. And Mike Huckabee is a joke. 2008, maybe not a joke. Right now, he's a joke.
I don't know. He's got the campaign
He's
infrastructure in
not
place.
quite a Trump level joke, though.
No,
And-
he's not a Trump level joke.
It's
He's-
crazy.
He's like a drunk guy at a bar who can't finish the joke right, but it's still a joke.
It
Well,
is absolutely crazy to underestimate Donald Trump. Everyone's going to do it. Everyone's going to mock
Did you
him.
hear what he said about wanting Mexico to pay for the wall we're building on
It
the
was
border?
brilliant. That plays.
The thing that like roughly 80% of the
Iowa.
conservative race believes.
Do
It's
they honestly
libertarian.
believe Mexico's going to pay for it, though?
This
it
is
doesn't matter, though.
If it's not
I think it
Rand
matters.
Paul has no chance of winning the election, then I hope that Donald Trump wins the primary, because it would be amazingly bad for our country in a real long-lasting sense if Donald Trump won the presidency, and I can
Well,
just sit back and watch the world
As someone
burn.
who likes to laugh at politics, yes, I would very much be in favor of Donald Trump winning.
I'm
Everyone
just like,
thinks he's an idiot, though.
Popcorn.
Did you hear him talk to Bill O'Reilly?
Has he accomplished
Bill
a good
O'Reilly
amount in
didn't
his
even
life?
buy
Listen,
his shit.
being a good businessman does not translate to being a good governor.
He's not even that great a businessman. He
Like-
just kind of like
he
Like,
He's not even that great a
he
businessman.
himself does all right, but like
He- no,
he's
he-
always declaring
he's worth-
bankruptcy.
He
and-
declared bankruptcy once.
I don't know. I feel like that's,
He's worth
he's done it a few
$8.9 billion
times.
dollars, and he's an international
No, he-
brand.
no, he's-
It's a
8.9
well-known
billion.
thing that you got to take those kinds of risks when you're a business.
He's totally a great businessman, but that doesn't translate to being a good governor, and it doesn't translate to popular appeal.
But you're saying that he's going to act like he does in the press, like he does behind the scenes. That can't be true.
he's
or else he'd
acting
never-
like he is in the press. He's like he's
already
in
done
front of
that.
the press, acting like a
But
douche.
he's always acted like that. But
Exactly.
I'm talking about he would have never accomplished what he has as a businessman if he acted like that. in
He's
the
also
boardroom.
not trying to get voters. He's trying to get investors. It's very different.
No, he's trying to win the Republican
No,
primary.
yeah, he's trying to win that primary.
But whatever. He's trying
And
to.
then he
He's
will
still
change
trying to
his
get
tune, 'cause
voters.
that's what he does.
Yeah, but he's still trying to get voters and people.
And
I
he's
don't-
got 9 people on staff in Iowa.
I'm telling you, if Willy Wonka changed his tune, he'd still be. People would still be like,
Listen,
"Oh, look,
I think-
Willy Wonka's talking."
I think Republican voters are crazy enough to vote for Donald Trump and for him to win the primary.
That's
I think,
that's
I think
exactly
that's
why-
a possibility, but I think if that happens, Hillary walks into the presidency.
No
Still,
doubt.
No,
like that's your end.
that's fine, and that's exactly why if Rand doesn't get it, I'm going to support someone like Donald Trump, because it's the if you can't get the guy who's actually worth the salt, then I'm going
Hillary'd
for
be much
the
worse than
worst
Donald Trump.
possible person.
Hillary'd
No,
be way worse.
No, they would both be bad. That's
They
like
would both
that's
be
like
terrible,
that's like
but
that's like
Hillary would be
that's like
terrible
saying
at a higher clip.
that's like saying arsenic and cyanide. Which one's worse? It's like no, they're both really bad.
I think everyone is really, really he just cannot be the biggest buffoon on the planet and achieved what he's achieved in his life.
Yeah.
It's impossible. He plays a part in the press. He always has. He's P.T. Barnum. He creates a stir. He creates a crowd. He gets people following along, and he's got people that are absolutely beloved. He is going to get so many people that love Donald Trump that have been lifelong Democrats are going to vote for him just because he's Trump.
No, he's not.
My dad is a lifelong Republican, and my brother follows in lockstep behind him. My dad has read like 3 books in his life: Charlotte's Web, Pat Riley's book, the former Knicks head coach, and Donald Trump's first book,
The Art of the Deal.
The Art of the Deal.
That is every Gordon Gekko 1980s fan of the movie Wall Street.
Yeah.
That is their #1 book.
And I'll tell you, like, my dad and brother are like, I don't know, this guy is scratching me where I itch. And so you're going to get blue-collar workers.
But that's exactly
No,
what
hold on,
they
you're
said
gonna
about
get,
Herman Cain.
But you're going to get blue-collar workers, and my dad owns his own business, but I think you'll see a lot of small businessmen like my dad, not necessarily blue-collar workers. You know, the people who employ 70% of the people in this country going, Donald Trump, he's scratching me where I itch, because there is it's psychology. every small business owner thinks that they can be Donald Trump.
He's the aspiration for so many people. And he did it without... I mean, he is a great American story because he failed, and people love failures that come back.
No, you guys, I totally understand that.
And he's going to split off all Jeb's votes.
You guys are giving the guy way too much credit.
I think everyone's...
You're giving the Republican primary base... You're giving the Republican base way too much credit.
Newt Gingrich won a state with one staffer.
I didn't give them credit. I said they're dumb enough to vote for
they all
Trump.
say this and that. They all say this and that. But when it comes down to it, they like to talk, but they don't ever follow through with actually do. Like that's why I'm saying, like, people like Herman Cain were number one polls amongst Republican voters, likely Republican voters.
He was the leader.
If we're being honest, you get down to the nitty gritty. In the end, I think it's going to be Walker. It's going to be Jeb Bush, and it's going to be Rand Paul, but Rand Paul is going to be your distant third.
I think so too. Maybe Rick Perry.
Rick Perry.
I think
he's going to crush the debates.
I think Rick Perry is
he's a commander.
Listen,
he's
like,
not
people,
a debate
people
crusher,
don't like
though.
the Bush name, but they like the Bush brand. They like that George Bush brand, and Rick Perry is George Bush version 2.0.
I think he's got enough of an organization governors are always dangerous to begin with. Yeah. And I think he's got enough of
because they got at least one state.
Well,
my grandma, she is 77, 78, lives in St. Augustine, Florida. If you ever go down to St. Augustine, hit up the marina by the Bridge of Lions, go to the scenic cruise, go to the
party a lot.
Go to the ticket counter.
Isn't that where the oldest building in America is?
It is the oldest schoolhouse. St. Augustine is beautiful, but if you make it down there, go to the marina, go to the scenic cruise, and talk to the gentleman behind the counter named Larry, and say hi and tell him that
pure Florida,
his grandson says hello.
Is this a commercial?
They have.
Brought to you by the Florida Tourism Board.
The scenic beauty of pure Florida.
You can't go wrong as the sun sets over the Matanzas Bay as you're cruising along on a scenic cruise.
Stay away from Miami.
Castillo San de Marcos, headed over to the White
all
House.
of Florida.
And the rest of Florida.
But
everything inland and most
what were you
of the
saying?
coast.
I'm trying to get a point out. Shut up, yous.
Oh, are you? Is that what this is about?
Yeah.
So, my grandmother still has hundreds of photos of George Bush around her house. Oh, he sent us this for Christmas and it's autographed. And it's like, I'm like,
he sent it to her.
Oh, Grandma.
He put it in an envelope himself.
The RNC made that photo and sent it to you as a thank you because you sent them $200 last year. It's not actually an autograph. Well, I'm voting for Jeb Bush. I lived in this state when he was governor, and he was very good. I was like, so what did he do? And she's like, he carried on the Bush legacy. I'm like, okay.
That's why Hillary's going to destroy him.
The problem with... And you know what's funny is the only reason I believe in Rick Perry as being a true establishment pick other than Bush is he has the foreign policy chops because that's what he's been prepping for the last 2 years, trying to remake his brand. And when that debate gets on stage, Donald Trump's going to talk about China, even though we're not at war with China. And
question anyone on Mexico.
And
Where's the birth certificate?
Rick Perry has been dealing with the border crisis. He's got his state over his tenure has created 80% of the jobs in the United States.
Yep.
He had the last time with the debates. Honestly, he should never had what happened was he had back surgery and was high on pain medication and sucked in every debate.
Yeah,
and if he had never had that back surgery, he would have beat Mitt Romney and he would have been the candidate.
He's actually strikes me as a serious candidate.
He is.
I don't know.
So does Scott Walker and so does Jeb Bush.
Yeah. Scott Walker.
Jeb Bush for the worst reasons. Scott Walker.
Jeb Bush for all the worst reasons. Scott Walker is kind of scary.
But Scott Walker's good. And the thing is Scott Walker's so bad on foreign policy.
He is. He's the
He
worst.
said he took on 100,000 protesters in the state public employees union, and that is his qualification of standing up against ISIS.
But people are going to hear. People are just going to look back at how he stepped down or he stepped up and destroyed the unions. And
it's basically Canada.
Well, but you guys don't like Chris Christie at all? Because to me, that guy is a guy who does well in debates, and he'll do anything to win.
I just don't think right now
he's great. He's a great New Jersey Republican, but people hate assholes.
Yeah, man.
and after
they
Hurricane,
hate assholes.
You say that, but
no,
then
they do. That's just New Jersey politics.
What it comes down to
they love assholes,
and
everyone else they hate assholes.
Like that's always been my complaint with Chris Christie, but I feel like he'll always do whatever it takes to win.
The problem
and I think that'll help him out.
Nick,
people don't like the Jersey Shore.
like the problem with Christie is, if you remember the last election with Romney, is Hurricane Sandy hit.
Yes.
When Hurricane Sandy hit, President Obama was welcomed in with open arms, and Chris Christie looked as like he couldn't wait for him to be there. They did a bunch of photo shoots together, and it pissed off the RNC like none other. Yeah. Because that they felt like was a stab in the back by a guy they had been positioning to win in 26, the next time. And so when he did that, he burned every bridge in the because he's the establishment pick and has been the establishment pick until he did that.
And he's just
and
again, I think the most dangerous thing for his candidacy is that he is perceived as a
like
a dick.
I agree, he's a total asshole. He's a bully every time I see him.
Really matters.
That same grandmother who idolizes Bush hates Chris Christie because he single-handedly lost the election and gave it to Barack Obama.
Yeah.
And that there's no, but that's your typical Republican voter. It's not grounded in rational
what's
thinking.
The idea
that photo
behind him? Just that photo.
Literally, that in the Republican circles, that was seen as the biggest stab in the back ever.
Romney lost.
It's not about common sense.
It matters.
When you come down to these
matters.
elections, it's never about common sense. It's all about that perception.
It's perception, and then it's who has the best ground game.
And if it's and I would contend that does not matter anymore. Or it's not that it doesn't matter; it's that used to be the only game in town,
the ground game,
and now you can win on ideas and great debate performances. Else Newt Gingrich would have never won a state, and neither would Herman Cain.
I think it comes down to
that's
more,
the one thing about
more
Chris
about
Christie
money,
is he's good in debates. He always knows. He has like a list.
He's
of
got
facts
so
he
much
recall.
negative money against him. He can't even right now. He's he's 14th and only 10 are getting in. And what's he going to be? Jeb Bush light or Jeb Bush a little bit not Jeb Bush?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't.
I think
vote for
that's
the guy.
what it comes down to. Like when you look at anything in this election, I think every election money gets more and more important, and that's what's happening right now. I think you're looking at the implosion of the GOP.
Oh yeah,
because the Democrats are uniting around one candidate. Essentially, they're putting other candidates up there, but no one expects anyone but Hillary to walk out of this primary.
And Bernie Sanders is not a real alternative for the Democratic Party because if anything happens with Hillary, Joe Biden will announce the next day.
Yeah.
He'll announce the next day. He'll be the leader in the polls, and
he will win the election.
And this is the thing. You say the GOP is imploding, and that's great. I think the best for this is for any typical Republicans who listen to our show. I know the audience is large, but this is a good litmus test on whether or not the GOP is imploding and who are the serious candidates or not. Is like go out there and look at who is saying anything about the anti-gay marriage. Anything that's anti-gay marriage is a presidential candidate right now who's anti-gay marriage. I guarantee you that is a person who's not going to do anything.
They're not serious.
And if the majority of the Republican Party is doing that, then the majority of the Republican Party is going to go the way of the dodo.
Yep.
So a lot of people will be like, "Oh no, this is not. It's grassroots and Mike Huckabee and all this." I don't care. That is that single issue right now at this moment is a great litmus test to show who is going to court future voters that can skew GOP, or whether or not it will adapt or whether or not it will die. And to my knowledge, there's only one candidate that is on the right side of that issue, and doing it in a way that doesn't turn off base voters of the Republican Party who don't understand what I just said. But everyone else is a joke about it, and I think for the primary it might matter. For primary, you could probably win the primary and be anti-gay marriage right now because everybody's in a hissy fit over it. But like the Republican Party in general, in relation to other parties, in relation to the general electorate, will die if they don't adapt on that issue. And there's only one candidate running for president that has adapted on it. So I think that's very telling.
I wouldn't say that's the biggest issue that they need to adapt on.
No,
but I
just
would
right
say
now,
that's a
like
good,
today.
Yeah, I would say that's a good litmus test
Like
because
today.
I think that's. I don't know. I think it's telling the people that are willing to swing around to that libertarian side of the party. And I think more people are figuring that out. More people are figuring out that that's the way of the GOP of the future. Is they're going to have to swing around to more libertarian parties.
I think we're about 8 years away from that being something that could actually hinder the Republican candidate because I personally believe that this election is going to be two candidates who both do not believe in gay marriage. White working class males do not support gay marriage at all, and millennials don't vote. African Americans do
but
not
white working
support
class,
gay marriage.
white working class,
Hispanics do not support gay marriage.
No, so
neither do
Hispanics
African
don't at all.
Americans. Neither do white working class
No,
males.
but look, but this is the thing. You can't assume that that's the primary issue for a lot of people.
No, but I'm saying that
I'm not saying that's
My
going to be
dad-
the reason
my
people
dad-
don't vote for Republicans. I'm saying that's the litmus test as far as
My
people
dad does
people
not
are
support
not
gay
going to look
marriage.
for this moderate GOP to vote for.
I'm saying people are going to vote for the candidate that says they do not believe in gay marriage.
I disagree completely. I think that you're putting that issue at such a high level for people, and I think the people who think it's a big issue are the ones that are talking the most right now. But by and large, most people, they have an opinion on it, but it's not their issue. My dad does not like gay marriage. He will not vote for a candidate that is terrible just because they support gay marriage. He will not vote for a candidate because they don't support, or because they do support gay marriage.
So if you put Hillary Clinton up against, let's say, Mike Huckabee, let's say those end up being the two, just theoretical, and your dad is looking at it and he says, "All right, I can support Hillary, who I know."
He'll vote for Mike Huckabee at the end of the day
But for
because
other
he's Republican.
reasons,
But it won't be because he's for gay marriage. It'll be because he's not Hillary Clinton.
Right, but it makes the convincing case to actually even show up on voting day. Well, you know what? Because Hillary Clinton is not going to endorse gay marriage. Not in a million years.
She already has. She already has.
Wait till the debates.
No, she already has. That the Democrats are gone on that issue. That is the Democratic
Yeah, I
Party
don't
is
see
pro
any-
gay
I
marriage.
think it's too
Democrats
late.
suicide.
I think it's too late for
They're-
them to
yeah,
turn around. If
it's-
Hillary did that, she would lose so
Yeah,
much.
there's-
Watch till the general debates.
Because it doesn't matter whether or not general public, like for one, the general public is a plurality for gay marriage, like, and that's just a plurality of America supports gay marriage. But like the gay vote is the base of the Democratic Party who are gay, the hetero, the homosexual, whether they're male, female, transgender, all those are active minorities. They may not represent the totality of the base, but they're active in the base. They organize. They go to look at what happens whenever somebody says something insensitive to gay people. They're a pariah. They are thrown out of society, and they're like almost
there's
like
a pizza.
Quasimodo.
But look, in Northern Indiana, they raised $1.5 million by not wanting to serve homosexuals.
No, but that's Indiana. Like, listen.
I will give Greg this. This is the same Hillary we were talking about that not long ago was sporting Confederate flags.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also the same Barack Obama that
She is
that
whoever
was
she
against
needs to
gay
be.
marriage.
Yeah.
Clinton.
Yes,
Yeah.
but Barack Obama was also against gay marriage until like 2 years ago.
And Hillary Clinton is
I
just
think it's
brazen
all
enough
going
to
to come
endorse
down
it.
to. I think it's all going to come down to what things are polling at the time. I think Hillary Clinton could flip either way. I think she's going to flip the way of gay marriage.
I've got
I feel like
the
gay
New York.
marriage went over better than I thought it would. When the Supreme Court made that ruling, so
Well, Hillary Clinton has the Pride section on her website, and this is from the New York Times yesterday that she did not speak out on behalf of same-sex marriage until 2013, so she's already on record. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you, excuse me, guys. I'll tell you who deserves all the credit is Joe Biden.
He
He
is the
forced
one.
the president's hand.
Yeah.
And you know what he did before that?
Everyone thought it was
Anthony
a faux
Kennedy.
pas when Joe Biden.
People
did
don't
that.
know this. Anthony Kennedy was the second pick that year for Supreme Court Justice nomination. You know who the first was? Robert Bork. Robert Bork is the one who lost, and the reason Kennedy made it onto the Supreme Court. And Kennedy's the one who authored the decision, and Kennedy's the one who was the swing vote. If Joe Biden doesn't, and he was in charge of questioning him during his conference, if Joe Biden, instead of talking about his personal beliefs, doesn't talk about privacy and doesn't talk about his belief in what was his other controversial view? He had one
Just
more
being
controversial.
crazy?
No, and no.
get a
What
shotgun.
what actually? If I remember right, what actually lost it for Robert Bork was usually they don't ask you the question, why do you want to be a Supreme Court justice? And for many, it's it's the answer is always I want to be with the greatest legislative minds and sit on there and have these great
just typical interview answer.
Yeah, it's my dream. And then not Robert Bork, because that would not be Robert Bork. Robert Bork instead replies, I think it'd be an intellectual feast. And that answer was like his 10-word answer that cost him the nomination to the Supreme Court. And the reason is because Joe Biden cornered him on it, and Anthony Kennedy ended up being the second pick. Otherwise, gay marriage would have been decided totally differently.
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with the gay marriage decision as it
Well, I don't
stands.
think any of us do.
But like,
Yeah.
but I think.
I just feel like in our echo chamber, it's so easy to be like,
No.
yeah, gay marriage.
No.
and,
No,
it's so easy to be libertarian, and then you meet the regular voter.
Because I'm not like that.
I'm
not like that. I am
One at a time, everybody.
Listen, I am not like that. I do support the right
this your
of
first time on the
homosexuals
podcast?
to do whatever they want. I don't care. You want to do whatever you want. I mean, I'm not gay. People want to be gay. I'm fine with that. I'm a libertarian in that regard.
Please check her Instagram and make your decisions.
Yes.
Take a look at his outfit.
There ain't.
See if you believe he's gay or not.
There ain't nothing gay about American flag tank tops, all right? Anyway, my point is that this is the same thing every libertarian's heard a million times. I support gay marriage. I support all this stuff. They want to do, like, it's just live and let live. I understand that. But it's not like I'm out there, like, it's not my issue. I'm not out there, I'm not like, oh yeah, gay marriage. Like, I didn't change my profile picture with a filter. Like, I'm not all for this, but it's like.
So you hate gays?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, I think,
but like,
it comes down to,
look at
like,
his shirt.
yeah, but it's like, but the thing is like, I think that personally, I think that is kind of a typical attitude on the part of most Americans. I think it's a typical attitude to be like,
I just really don't give a shit.
It's almost like I don't care. Like, it's not like when I remember the other day when or a month or so ago, whenever what's his face from Apple came out and said I'm gay, and there was like all these news stories. Yeah, and there's all these news stories about it. And I just remember being like, I don't hear that. I don't care.
I hope he keeps putting out a
like,
good product.
Why aren't we care?
Yeah, why aren't we at a place where it's not like it's just not news to me if somebody comes out like a celebrity? I remember thinking this 2 years ago. A celebrity came out and it was like. So what?
What?
Yeah, like,
but I think
telling me that Ian McKellen is gay. Yeah. I'm so shocked.
but people like Republicans, obviously they are vocal and they do care. But like, I think most people in America, most voters, most independent-leaning voters of either side, they just don't care. Like, if you're gay, you're gay. They don't give a crap. In the gay marriage thing, they're like, yeah, whatever. You know, you get married. Who cares? Like that, I think that's their mentality. We hear the Republicans who are like, God's going to burn down America, or we hear the gay vote because they're the ones that are organized. But I think so. That's why I think it's a litmus test, is because that's where I think generally everybody's at. Is that it's just at a point where it's just like you're just like that asshole at the party who won't shut up.
The percentage of people,
either way, if you're just vocal about it, like
the percentage of people that are
cares.
vocal against gay marriage is so small at this point. Like, the majority of people either just don't care or they're vocal for gay marriage.
And it's like, like, this is the thing. Like, I think generally, like, my perception right now of the gay marriage debate is like, good. All right, good. You guys, it's gay marriage.
You were hoping it was done.
If there's gonna be,
it's all
if
good.
there's gonna be marriage benefits, then they should be equally applied to everybody.
It's all right. It's good. Gay marriage got passed. It's good. We're all good with that. It's like right now, what's irking me with the gay movement is there's a lot of people who are a part of the gay political base that are kind of being assholes about it. Like, they're trying to, like the people who will throw you out of society. Like, they will organize movements against you if you just don't like gay people. Like
excommunication by the gay pope.
There's people out there who, like, don't get me wrong. I personally think that if you are a Christian, then there's nothing wrong with being okay with someone being gay, because it's not your position to judge anyone who is a sinner.
Have you ever seen the actual Pope? I mean, diamond slippers. Come on, he's already the gay Pope.
So, I mean,
who drives a bubble? Who drives a bubble?
It's energy efficient.
And that hat.
Yeah.
That hat's dank.
How many? Other than Hugh Hefner, how many straight men do you see in a row?
Can't melt that hat.
Exactly.
I see. I already lost my train of thought. But like,
you've been talking for like 10 minutes
because
straight.
you guys all stopped me. Yeah, whatever. It'll come back to me.
So we got into there's an establishment top tier. I think we all agree that Jeb Bush is top tier. We all agree Scott Walker's top tier.
Yeah.
I believe Rand Paul is going to be top tier purely as a distinct choice.
I think he finished his top 3.
I think the reason, and this is something I didn't get to say earlier, but let's all be clear. The reason Rand Paul's a top tier is not because he's the most conservative candidate in the traditional sense of the word, because I think all libertarians would agree. Oh, I say that lightly. That he is the most libertarian in the sense of like libertarian conservative. Like he's the most,
far as people
he's the most Ron Paul style libertarian candidate.
Let's be honest, Gary Johnson's the superior candidate.
Yeah, come on, come on.
So like
Republican.
So
Gary
I think it's clear in that regard as to that he. But my thing is that he's not going to win because of that, or he's not going to be a contender because of that. He's going to be a contender because he has spent the better part of the past, at that point it'll be 6 years, building bridges with communities that do not vote Republican.
Look at Mitch McConnell.
Will not.
Look at Mitch McConnell.
No, they will.
What did Rand Paul do to Mitch McConnell to get his endorsement?
No, this is the thing. This is the thing a lot of people don't realize is you do not have to win a minority group to destroy Democrats. You don't have to win it. No. You just have to get some of it. Yeah. If you get a little bit of black vote, a little bit of the young women vote, you get a little bit of the Hispanic vote, just a little bit, then you wipe the floor with the Democrats.
Perfect example is Bush won because he got 10% of the Hispanic vote, and Romney, if he holds that 10%, wins the election, but instead he only gets 5%.
Yeah. The Republicans are banking on old white dudes to win. Rand Paul has made an effort to reach out to other people, and if any of those other people vote for him in a majority, in a percentage higher than like 3%,
the problem is getting some of those people to vote in the primary.
No, they're not going to vote in the primary. That's that I
to register as Republicans.
That's the issue.
You don't have to register Republicans in some places. They're not going to, and I think that's why he's done. I think he's done a great job of threading that needle of getting those voters, while at the same time,
hands down, he's the best presidential candidate out of the Republican Party. But if he can actually get there is my worry. I think that people like Jeb Bush and Scott Walker can just so easily outspend him.
Jeb Bush has a war chest of $45 million.
The first marijuana raising president, right?
Yeah, no, that should have serious libertarian support, because to my knowledge, I don't know that. No, Gary did. Gary did. But I mean, even Gary ran as a Republican. But like looking at this,
why didn't he stay Republican?
Why didn't Gary? Because he didn't make it in the second round of debates.
Future though.
It could have. He's rubbed a lot. He's seen as fringe.
Yeah.
But I mean, he changed New Mexico and made it in play for real as a Republican state. The problem is, though, if you look at it, you say, like we all agree, Walker, Jeb. Mm-hmm. I'm going to throw Donald in there because we have not had somebody that has been unapologetically proudly an American and antagonistic in a long time. Honestly.
I, as a fan of just like good television, I want Donald Trump to do well.
And like, I mean, what did he say that is, he's never going to get a Democrat to vote for him?
He said that most of the illegals from Mexico were rapists and murderers.
He said they're not sending me and you. They're sending their drug runners and their rapists. Yeah. Now, I assume they're... What killed him was his next line. He said, I assume they have good people. And when you have to assume that about an ethnicity, you're so far behind the eight ball.
I haven't actually met any.
That's the implication.
I haven't actually ran into
even though he works
Mexican.
with Univision.
These mythical good Mexicans.
Good Mexicans do exist somewhere.
I've met them. I like Joe and Aria very much.
They're what are they called?
Hondurans?
Parallel Mexicans.
Parallel Mexicans. You've been to Cancun?
No.
That like Hispanic?
I haven't.
I was speaking in Donald Trump voice.
Yeah.
Parallel Mexican that's like
that's kind of
Hispanics
Mexican.
who aren't Mexican?
Yeah. Okay. It's like they want to be Mexican, but the United States props up their pseudo-state, like Puerto Ricans. But no, I honestly, today's world is, if you do 3 debates and you kick ass in all 3 debates, you can win elections without a ground game.
I feel like Donald Trump's going to get torn apart in debates.
Ron Paul.
Single-handedly,
2008, lit a movement.
He did.
That has, just in the debates.
And now, I'm not saying you can carry it to the nomination, but I'm saying that you can get enough momentum.
Trump could definitely get the fundraising to carry it further.
That's the thing, is you can steal the support system that someone else already built by having the momentum. And that's what Newt would have done if he'd have done any better in Florida in 2008. But it's interesting. Like, it's just, I tell you, I'll be damned. I've never seen a Republican primary like this before in my life, where everyone thinks they can win. Because we're talking about Lindsey Graham.
I feel like that's kind of how.
Oh my God! I can't wait till Lindsey Graham goes on stage and just debates.
Which is the real question: what's happening to the party when there's 16 entrances, and last time there were 12? And traditionally, you have 3.
Graham, there's 17.
What does that mean?
Well, I was expecting this round of candidates to be better because there's not an incumbent.
They're all solid. Who really is a freak?
Donald Trump.
True. I'll give you that.
I think what it means is implosion of the
Santorum's
GOP.
Yeah, it's so
he?
fractured. Like Santorum, but Santorum won Iowa.
It's like the scene in the Pirates of the Caribbean. I made that meme a long time ago.
Yep.
Well, since the GOP nominee is up for debate,
everyone votes for themselves.
Yeah, it's like that's what's going on.
I don't think
throwing their name
we live in a time.
Someone willing to vote for Keira Knightley. That's what we need.
I'll vote for Keira Knightley right now.
Keira Knightley for Republican.
America is in a transition period politically. We are in a transition period when it comes to major political parties.
Yeah.
I think the Democrat Party is safe. Personally, I don't think.
GOP's gonna have to
I don't
swing
think the
Libertarian.
Democrat Party has
another point to make. Like, we act like these two parties have been around since the beginning, but they haven't.
No, they haven't.
There's
Well, the
always
Democrat
two parties.
technically has, but yeah.
Yeah.
But
the Federalists. Yeah.
well, the Democratic
Let's
Republican
start out
is
as
the
Federalists,
Democrat Party.
anti-Federalists.
Like
and then,
the Democratic Party, the Republican Party is the one that's taken place of all the ones that died.
Yeah, they took care of the
It
Whigs
was the
and
Federalists
Free
and the
Soilers.
Whigs, and then it's the Republicans. But my point is that I think we're in a transition period as far as major American politics, and I think that the Republican Party. This is something that I've said elsewhere, like. You know, and a lot of libertarians are going to hate me for saying this, but I think if the Republican Party dies, it's not replaced with the Libertarian Party. I think it's just like what happened after the Federalist Party died, and there is a one-party system in a true sense, in a literal definition of the word, and the Democratic Party is just going to wipe the floor with everybody, and it's just going to be nothing but Democrats.
I think that'll happen for a while, but eventually,
and that's what happened. That's what eventually the Whigs popped up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No,
yeah.
I agree, but like my point is
not
that
The
I
first
think
two elections after a split.
I think
No
I
doubt.
think I think a lot of libertarians are like the Republican Party's going to die, and then the libertarians will fill that power vacuum. And I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think the
I've met
Democrats,
libertarians.
the
I'm telling you right now,
Democrats
they're
are
not
going
gonna be able to organize.
Yeah, I think the Democrats.
You've organized. You've
Yeah.
herded cats.
I hate to say it, but I do think that he's right. I think the Libertarians, by and large, I mean, if you look at the demise of the Whig Party, the Republicans were a smaller third party, but it kind of was.
It was all because of slavery.
And it was a very new party that just kind of popped up as they were.
They were like
They were
the third.
anti-slave.
They were a radical party.
The Free Soil Party. And
Yeah,
then
they
that
were
didn't
the
work.
they were the big
Think of-
influence.
And
Think
then they
of-
didn't work, and then the Republican Party was like the next attempt, and it was
Yeah.
like they were, but it was all about that issue, and we don't have a slavery issue. Like, there's nothing that is that big in American politics.
that is that huge of a moral
Patriot
issue.
Act sort of stuff might get there.
No, it's not
No,
even close.
no, never.
Not, the America is not going to go to war.
The majority of
over
America is willing
the
to
Patriot
just
Act.
accept the Patriot Act.
Well,
the America's not. You
we're
are not going
really
to have. No,
a
you're not
we're
going to have
really a country
states
that goes to war so
No,
easily.
you're not.
anymore
You're not
anyway.
going to have states that secede because of the Patriot Act.
I don't think you need that though.
No, I think that is
Like-
You need
no.
something close
That
to
is
that.
We're a different
That is-
country than we were back when people were leaving the country.
That is a metric for the level of intensity that people feel about something.
The core of slavery was that slavery was an economic issue, and that slavery was a key to the South's survival. And if the North succeeded in taking away slavery from the South, then the South was ceding all power to the North. And they weren't going to let that happen, and they didn't have a great moral outrage with keeping human beings in chains. And so,
Plus you
something
also
like privacy is not a great moral issue. There is no great, it's not a great economic issue. It's not something that hurts people in their pocketbooks. Not even gay marriage, which is probably the most passion-provoking thing, and that is really because Christian conservatives, and they're largely they're marginalizing themselves, as I said dozens of times. The gay issue has killed the evangelical church, and it has killed the Republican Party. And I'm not saying that it is wrong that people who believe what they believe what they believe, because we in America should be allowed to have our beliefs and be free of conscience. But by focusing on that issue as a Christian church, and instead of, killing brown people across the other side of the world, or sex slavery, or any of that kind of stuff.
Literally
Yeah.
can literally push a button and say,
Right.
kill this American because I said so. And America's like, good for him.
So there isn't any great economic issue.
I don't think they said good for him.
Who have you been listening to? Like, I don't know who you've been listening to, but I know plenty of people that were like, good for him. He needs to be able to
Are
do
you going
that.
to argue with a man in an American flag bandana?
I'm in an American flag tank top, and I don't think the president should kill people.
Creighton's
This
getting ready to
podcast is
RKO
edgy.
Peffers.
I didn't ever think I would argue with a man in an American tank top, but I think I am right now.
What you gonna do? Oh, yeah.
You know what?
Two different wrestlers. Jack Hunter, that was two different wrestlers, and I know it.
that could get to that point, and I think we're going to see it here pretty soon, is rulings like the one on gay marriage and rulings like the one on the healthcare.
I'm doing curls.
We're going to see a legitimate uprising of a states' rights, almost a 10th Amendment Court of Appeals.
I don't think you're going to have that with gay marriage. It's going to happen with marijuana.
No, I think you're having it with everything. I think states are so tired.
The federal government cave on marijuana, I think.
But individual governors and states, like if you look at the response by attorney generals all across the country in states that don't want to do gay marriage, there's going to be a legitimate states' rights issue that's going to pop up, and the only response states have is to set up a credible group that can issue legal rulings that are a true alternative of bright minds in the antithesis of the federal government. That doesn't mean anything because of the supremacy clause, so it's not going to lead to anything, but it's enough to get people angry.
Well, there's plenty of people that think the supremacy clause doesn't mean that the Supreme Court.
I don't see that.
But there's no institution that can act as a response to their rulings.
Thank God.
It's
supposed to be two different. They're supposed to fight with each other.
I agree with what.
But if there was another institution, then it would just be a federal above the federal. Is all it would be.
I think it's got to be a real economic impact to really. Drive this. I think it's got to be something that hits people in their pocket. I don't think it's going to be marijuana because I think that's just like a cookie for the federal government to throw at the people eventually. I think they're just like, okay, guys, you can have this. You know,
even though we already took it
anymore.
We're just going to decriminalize it, and then that'll sedate you guys for another 40 years.
That's totally what's going to happen.
What about like healthcare? That's an economic issue.
All these are the same issue.
Healthcare has been set up,
but people don't recognize it. That's the problem. Is people don't recognize these deep economic issues as being economic issues anymore. They see healthcare, they're like, oh, that's a right that everyone should have.
Yeah,
you know, people that's all they don't see it as. Oh, no country that has socialized healthcare also has a balanced budget.
Oh yeah, or even can run a surplus ever.
Exactly, ever. No
one. It is not possible.
They're all running countries,
and they don't care.
The
they're like, well, balanced budgets shouldn't come at the expense of people's lives.
Exactly. It's just like
no,
we have.
How can you talk about dollars when these are my feels?
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly,
that's literally what it is.
Fuel can't melt these feels.
The dollar will have to implode.
Listen, guys,
that's the only option.
Anything happens here, the dollar will literally have to
look at what's happening in Greece right now. That's how many times in your life
and even Greece is just going to cave to some more socialist bullshit.
No, that's it.
They're just going to print their own money.
No, they can't. What do they don't have any bank. They have no central bank.
They have gold reserves.
You know what's going to happen.
They don't have anything. Listen,
they have gold reserves and they have
assets
that can be used to
how many libertarians, because I know you guys are out there and you listen to this podcast, that spend all your time on Facebook and you read about stuff from Mises.org, how many times have you been told that something like a bank run it's just not going to happen nowadays. That's a relic.
It happened.
It happened. It happened.
Because they're going to leave the euro.
It literally just happened the other day. Like, we are just like, history repeats itself. This is stuff that's supposed to not happen anymore in our modern economic setup, and it happened.
Yeah,
and if you don't think that can happen here in this country, then it totally you're. But
the question is,
it can't here in the next like 5 years?
Does the average American voter
at the rate that we're going?
No.
Does the average American voter will never
because in the United States, if what was happening in Greece was happening here,
the modern American voter
we could do what England did in the 1980s.
That's our biggest handicap: is the average American voter is never going to understand any of that.
That's the problem of democracy in general.
Even if we did,
no, I swear to God,
even if we did,
it's rational ignorance. It's called rational ignorance.
Even if
they
don't
have any incentive to learn it.
Even if we did have a bank run, we would probably still lean on the side of socialism at the end of the day.
And we wouldn't need to. We have FDIC insurance. Yeah. And so unless it's the elite, everybody's going to be made whole. We have our own central bank, so we can do what England did.
That's only good if people are buying your debt.
But in England... No, the Federal Reserve is the biggest holder of our debt.
Yeah, and that's just it. Like,
and they could cancel it at any time.
They could, but they're not going to.
But I'm saying they could.
And if China's buying our debt, and
the
dollar
quote
is
unquote, they could.
I mean,
he got you there.
If the Federal Reserve's existence was ever really threatened, they would cancel the debt. It's like the EU. The EU.
I don't know if the Federal Reserve.
The Federal Reserve has no exit strategy.
The worst case, they do what the IMF's proposing, and you do a 20-year delay in repayment.
Well,
you can always restructure debt. Like that's the thing. When you have your own currency, you can do whatever
the problem with the Federal Reserve isn't just who's going to buy the debt and who's going to sell the debt to. The problem is they have no exit strategy with what to do with interest rates.
But England was in the exact same position we were in the 1980s, and George Soros, the only reason he's a billionaire is because overnight he broke the English pound.
He's short sold it. Yeah, I know.
So literally, all that
That just also means
the
that the
model
dollar
already exists when you
so
control
basically
your own
the dollar
currency
has
to
to crash.
remunerate overnight. The dollar is crashing.
No, it hasn't crashed yet.
In comparison to the other currencies in the world, no. In comparison to its internal value, yes.
Yeah, since 1913 it's been doing that. But
Exactly.
that doesn't make a jack squat for our modern way things are set up
So
right now.
China's been hoarding gold reserves, and they're about to take number 2 status in the world as the number of gold currency reserves.
And Russia,
and they're gonna
Russia is going.
They're going
to
to partner and create a euro.
with all these other. I understand. I totally get that.
And so when the dollar is not the number 1 world reserve currency, then you have a legitimate challenger to
Exactly. And
Then
the
you run
Fed
into a
has no
situation-
exit strategy.
Sure they do.
No, they don't. There's nothing they can do in order to raise interest. If they raise interest rates, then they're going to pull us out of this quasi recovery that we have. And if they don't raise interest rates, then they threat hyperinflation, or they threat some inflation, which is going to piss people off. And they don't want to have to deal with that either because they went through the 1970s. They literally are at an impasse where they have to decide: do I want 1970 again, or do I want Great Depression?
People don't even remember the
That's what
70s. The choice is if you look
They
at
totally-
Greece.
no.
Look at Greece. Greece is going to reject.
I don't remember the 70s.
People are going to reject the repayment terms by the.
Well, Greece
Peffers,
hasn't
you don't
rejected
remember
it yet.
70
but
minutes
they're going to have a
ago.
referendum and they're going to reject
They're
it.
probably
Thank
going to
you,
reject it.
Chris.
And
what-
the thing is like they're what Greece
They're
is
going to reintroduce the drachma.
No, what Greece is banking on is that Germany and other EU countries are just going to feel sorry for them enough to just give them free money.
Yeah, but
and
that's
them
not
not
gonna
have to
happen.
pay for it. And it's not going to happen. And Greece is going to have to leave the European Union.
And they're gonna be backed
and
by the
for
Russians.
the remainder of the European Union, everyone's going to be like, this is not as legitimate as a state political organization as we thought. And it's
No.
going to completely
Italy's
to
gonna
be
go
the
next, and
it's
then
going to be
Spain.
the seed of doubt into the European Union that will
Is
fester
England part
for
of the
for decades.
Euro?
Yeah, but they got to keep their own
Yeah,
currency
they
outside
can't.
of it.
There's
Yeah,
only
okay.
they're only like
I
something like only like
could've sworn they still
75%.
had the pound.
They
Only
do.
like 75% actually use the euro.
It
or
makes
something.
no sense to just bet your everything on the euro because then you're outside
Well,
of
I mean,
control. You get in the situation Greece is in. If Greece had their own currency, they'd be able to inflate out over a period of time, bet on economic growth, raise money through outside funds, then do a debt haircut where they wouldn't pay back part of it but keep inflating, and in time they'd have a balanced economy. But because they don't control their own currency, they're going to leave, have to bet on Russia and China. Because ultimately, China funds Russia. Russia uses those funds, extends it to the Greeks. They'll reintroduce the drachma. They'll use their assets they do have to set up a central bank. And all of a sudden, Russia has a key player in the middle of the EU, which is what no one wants.
And this is the real important thing. No one who votes understands a word of what we just said.
No, that's,
Some do.
That's
Some
the
do.
problem.
The people.
That's the biggest problem.
Yeah. So
either
The
way,
percentage of people that understand what is going on is inconsequential.
It is,
It
but
won't make a
the
difference.
key is, though, so they understand populism, which is why Greece is going to reject
who
the
can
terms
I have
of the
a
bailout.
beer? Who can I have a beer with? That's what our voters respond
Maverick, John McCain.
I
and-
never said that.
and going rogue. No, but I mean that's the circumstances, and so. If you look at the United States, we would never have the problem Greece does. Would never happen. Because at worst case, we could manage 10% inflation. If you compound 10% inflation in the U.S. economy over 10 years, our budget, we run a surplus.
Yeah.
The thing is we've had way over 10% inflation before, and that was never supposed to happen.
I mean, 10% measured by this federal government. Their metrics.
They use what? The CPI?
They use
the
CPI, and then they use core, and then headline inflation.
Yeah, but the thing is we've had way over 10% inflation in those metrics before, and it was never supposed to happen.
by their old standard, on their new standard, we haven't even had inflation in 4 years. Core and headline inflation are actually, we're in deflation.
Yeah, and that doesn't.
You just blew his mind.
No, but I mean, like if you
Thank God
calculate
he had
by
that
how we used to-
bandana to keep it all together.
There's no way we have deflation.
No, there's no.
literally, if you
There's more money
producti-
than there was
but look
yesterday.
at so you're missing what is measured. So like what gets measured is food. We've had such productivity gains in food, farming, technology. That
Yeah, that's
those
why- no,
Gains, bro,
plummeted in
gains.
cost.
No, that's why people who say that the people who follow like Austrian economics are like you can't use like the CPI because it relies on like you're trying to measure prices as something other than the value of a currency.
You are, but like for the government's purposes, that's what they raise debt off of.
No, I understand that. My point is that even by metrics, by the value of a currency as it was measured before and as it was measured during, you had a significant amount of inflation in the 1970s. That was not supposed to happen, particularly with high unemployment. That's something that wasn't supposed to happen as far as everybody was concerned, and it happened. So to just say that it can't happen in America is just kind of like,
Well,
you're
he's
just
saying
assuming.
I'm saying bankrupt Greek exit.
Yeah, he's saying that's not going to happen.
No, because
we can have
we'll
bet on inflation.
We'll never have bankruptcy in the pure sense of the word, because if worse comes to worse, then the government's just going to print the money. But that's the thing, is like printing money is not a safe out. It's just kicking the can, and eventually, there's nowhere left to kick it to. And right now, I don't think we're close to that. I think that's like decades before we get to the point where you can't kick the can anymore.
Does there ever come a point to where America can't kick the can anymore?
Yes.
Though?
No, because we can always revalue our currency.
Exactly.
No, you can't just
that
doesn't.
Britain did.
No,
they literally did.
You can't just revalue a currency because it assumes that a currency is made by dictate. It literally has to have value in a market. You can do all you want shenanigans.
Not when your central bank is the market.
No, if you legal-wise, you can do all you want. Your central bank can be the head bank in the country, but it doesn't change the fact that Rome was a country. It was the most powerful country in the world, and its economy still tanked. That analogy matters as far as modern economics go, because you can print all the money you want, but eventually you're not as powerful as you thought you were.
But that's 1,800 years away.
The difference between us and Rome,
not 1,800
is
years
that
away.
now people
nowadays.
People view it as a world economy. No one was worried about Rome failing as an economy back in the day. No one was worried about if we failed economically today.
China dies.
There are many countries that would be worried about that, and they're willing to back us up, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to make us succeed.
Because China is betting on their political stability based on the drive for an American consumer to build out an industrial revolution so they can get middle class jobs.
I think you guys
That's what'll keep us
I think
afloat.
you guys are putting too much. You're not putting enough faith in chaos. I don't think you got. No, I swear.
How many times has chaos actually happened?
I swear to God, I think you guys are putting too much emphasis on things that we
chaos.
The British Empire existed for 2,000 years. They failed, collapsed, and they're still the second most influential country in the world.
Everything moves.
And they're a little bitty island.
Listen, we're talking about. We're trying to predict the future. We're trying to predict.
And they're the second most powerful country in the world.
We're trying to predict the future. Is what's going on right here. And
I have such a heart. Like, libertarians are such like. Oh my God! Collapse is right around. I mean, Ron Paul's doing the Stratford Financial commercials.
I don't think it's right around the corner. I don't think it's right around the corner. But
it's always been right around the corner if you assume that the rules aren't rigged, and the rules are rigged.
They are. It's totally rigged. We're not working in a perfectly. There is no such thing as free market capitalism in the world
because we've got central banks are gone.
We've got to violate the free market to save the free market.
They have literally destroyed the free market, and they've rebuilt a world
The biggest
market.
free market president since Ronald Reagan, in the midst of a crisis, had to save it from itself.
And that will always happen. There will always be a green stand.
I understand that
because the elite will never allow it to crumble. They have vested interest.
That implies that free markets aren't stronger than that. Like, it implies that the market is not stronger than those people trying to control it.
No, I'm saying they'll adapt to it. They will adapt to whatever the free market's going.
If everyone is united against the free market, they're going to make whatever they need to make happen.
They're going to introduce the FDIC insurance. They're going to introduce the end of the gold standard. They're going to introduce Social Security. They're going to introduce the New Deal and put people back to work.
The free market can't overcome a world completely controlled by
the monopoly of force.
This is the thing. I'm not talking about like, will the free market be a free market? I'm talking about like markets in the sense of like how the economic laws work.
I'm saying it can't act in the same way.
The economic laws exist regardless of what people do to them to try and null them in some ways and promote them in others, which is what government tries to do. It tries to promote things that it likes and stop things that it doesn't like. It never works. It can't work. It's literally impossible. But they try to. Now, the thing is those laws are independent of government policy. What we're trying to say is that government policy will check those laws. That's exactly what Alan Greenspan said. It's exactly what every government in the history of governments has said, is that we can stop economic law from existing. This is the new normal. And it never happens.
But it
never, ever happens.
There's a gray area in between that. There's this area of they can't stop it. You're correct. The market's always going to swing away from what they want it to do, but it's never going to swing out of their grasp.
And when it gets out of control, like the crisis of 2007,
they're always
they save
able to
it from
rein
itself.
it back in. They're always going to lasso it and bring it back into where they had it
Guess
before.
what? We'll have the Federal Reserve act outside the bounds of its charter, and we'll buy so much mortgage debt, and we'll buy so many bonds from the United States government, they're not going to have an issue with that
so
crisis.
You'll have these times where you're right on the cusp of it happening. You're right on the cusp of having that chaos that we really need to happen, honestly.
That's the correction that never happens.
Yeah, it
just
really
keeps
needs
fueling.
to happen. But there's so many people united against it right now that they're never gonna let it happen.
They won't let the economic reality infringe on the human pain.
I think that the premise of that is that they have the ability to do that, and they have the ability to do it in the short run, transient way. But it's not a lasting solution.
But it could be 2,000 years.
I don't think now.
And then it might as well not happen.
I don't think, because it doesn't take 4 years to get goods past the Silk Road anymore. It's like everything's instant. You can get stuff. You can buy a stock in a billionth of a second. Everything is faster nowadays. I think it's in our lifetimes.
But the economic principles are the same.
Yeah, but everything moves faster.
The only thing that really provides value are the goods.
The flow of information is so much faster than it was back in the old days.
But that really all that does is add efficiency.
That's all a market is. All prices are information indicators.
Right, but I'm saying like that doesn't stop.
But everyone still acts on that false premise. Everyone that matters in the market is still acting on that false. Everyone that matters in that market is still acting on the premise that the Fed is eventually going to raise interest rates. Like that's what it comes down to.
Yes, and everyone in 2007 was banking on the mortgages would never go down.
People have been betting on Japan devaluing their currency and then doing a renomination like for 80 years, and it's called the Widowmaker bet. And it's never happened, and it's why so many people have mortgages in the United States based in the yen, because it's never happened, and it won't ever happen. Japan's central bank has proven you can carry 200% debt to GDP and keep functioning on as a zombie economy.
Yep.
You want to keep going down that road? That's what the United States is going to do. The question is, does the bubble ever pop? I'm saying when it even gets close, government will do something so radical that changes the set of the game.
I don't think they'll see it coming. Well, they didn't see 2007 coming.
They
said that, like,
they
the government.
So far out,
the government didn't see it coming. Some economists saw it coming,
but they saved it.
They didn't. They kicked the can down the road. What you're saying is they're going to keep kicking down the can down the road. And I'm going to say there's going to be a point where there's a wall.
What I'm saying is they'll always be able to take extreme enough of a reaction to whatever happens that they'll be able to rein it back.
What you're saying then
they
is
have so much.
What you're saying then
control.
is that there's no reason for them You're saying that a free market literally has no incentive to exist. That there is no reason for there to be a free market because people can always control it and it can always be made to do what people want.
Can you name
a
free market?
There's no. I'm not saying that there's ever one existed.
The only free market that exists is the black market.
No, I'm saying that supporting a free market principle there's no reason to do it if you are accepting the premise that people can control the market. Because what you're saying is that people can control the market. You have
people
to say
can't control it.
No, that's what you're saying is people can control it and then it will crash and they'll save it because they'll do something to stop the crash.
No, controlling the market.
Well,
controlling the market and reining it in are two different things. You can never control the market. You can never make the market do what you want it to do.
You're kind of implying that people can rein it in forever, though.
Yeah. That's control.
I think they can.
That's the course of human history.
Be a libertarian
That's not the course of human history. If that was the case, we would be on the moon by now.
We use the same banking system the Freemasons set up.
If we can just keep doing that forever,
yeah,
if
we were doing that forever,
because there's
there would never have been a
because there's a better alternative. Because
why are any of us libertarians?
There's a better alternative to that. There's a better alternative to just putting a Band-Aid on the economy and reining it back in. The better alternative is letting the economy fix itself and then going into prosperity.
Well, how is that a better alternative?
You're saying that the Band-Aids could. You're saying that the Band-Aid, that the disease that you're putting a Band-Aid over, the cancer you're putting a Band-Aid over, can never kill them. And I'm saying that eventually the cancer will kill you. And you guys are just saying no. We'll just put another Band-Aid.
I can because I don't think
just put another Band-Aid on it.
We've never had a free market.
It's the history of the world.
I'm saying the
so if we've never had a free market,
the cancer
and
is
they set the terms.
I'm saying the cancer is the control, and you guys are saying the control may cause all of these problems, but they will take that control to the next level and stop the problems from manifesting themselves.
No, because we've proven in the 1980s that
we'll
we
just
will
keep
make
with
the
control
right,
again.
We've made the right corrections before.
Your premise relies upon the ability of planners to be able to control the market from doing what it's going to do.
Not control.
No,
yes,
they can't
that's
control.
exactly what you're saying.
No, react to.
No, react by controlling.
Yeah,
the response is to control.
You're implying that there's always something that can be done to stave off suffering, and if there's always something that can be done to stave off suffering, why not do that forever?
That's what they're doing.
And
but they have been doing it for a very long time.
The implication of that statement is that there is no that the incentive for there to be a market doesn't exist. Period. That there is no check upon
if we
power.
Can stave it off forever, why do anything else?
I agree. No, there is no free market.
Listen, essentially the implication of what you're saying is that there is no way that the market could ever be in a position to make them not.
That is what I'm saying.
No, listen.
The people would have to make a decision.
I am agreeing with you. I am saying the reality that exists.
You're contradicting yourself. You're saying that the market can cause all these bad things to happen, but the people in power will just stop the bad things from manifesting themselves. But that implies that the bad things shouldn't happen in the first place.
No, they're not manifesting themselves to the full potential, is what he's saying. What he's saying is they're stopping
Which means they're not manifesting themselves as they should, which means that the people who are in
there's
power
a concentration.
have an authority.
Talking about.
But listen,
if they you're making the fatal conceit. You're making Hayek's fatal conceit that people have power over the economy, that they think that they can control it, and that you're saying that they actually can.
If they really could control it, then we'd be prosperous. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. They can't really control it. All they can do is just kind of keep it in a corral.
It's like bumper bowling.
Yeah.
It's like having bumpers that stop it from going into the gutter.
Yes. That's not
like if we can stop it from going in the gutter.
If you have the
way,
concentration of power and the
way?
concentration of gold in a free market economy, you control the economy.
You guys,
and if you have the monopoly of force in anything, you always are in control.
You guys are just trying to you're trying to caveat you're trying to caveat the word control and say it means control in this limited definition, but it's still control. You're saying that people can do what they want to the economy, and when it goes bad, all they have to do is just change things up a little bit, and then it'll keep going, and then it'll go bad, and they'll change things up again. It's just like it's an adapting control, but it's control nonetheless.
They cause it to go bad.
But
they are never not in control.
But all you're saying is that the only reason they cause it to go bad is because they had the wrong idea.
Because they're stupid.
And then all they do is change their idea. So what you're saying is that everything is just people trying to figure out
Marx's
the right
dialectic.
idea for how to control it.
Yes, that's the course of human history.
That's wrong.
That is the course of human history.
That premise that they have that there is a correct way to control it is the wrong premise.
I agree.
The premise is that there isn't an ability to control. Eventually, the chickens will have to come home to roost. They may not have happened yet, but it will have to happen. And if you don't think that, then what you're saying is that eventually there will never be a chickens come home to roost. It will always be people being able to control it.
Because there's a concentration of power in the hands of the elite who are in control, and they don't let it
I don't
fall
believe
apart.
that the market is able to be even and you guys
the market's never even been given a chance to exist.
The key player would, like Greg's mentioned multiple times, is force.
Yeah.
The key player is force. Everyone that is in control of all the force in the world right now would have to lose all of that force all at once for the free market to work.
Yeah.
Yes, but we've
because
also had global recessions. It doesn't you're implying
a
that
global recession is further
that the entire world can't see something coming and plan for it. Like they didn't plan for 2007. That happened to the whole world.
It's not they don't see it coming. It's they don't want it to stop.
Degree.
Yeah.
No,
it's that they don't care.
I understand what you guys are trying to say, and I disagree with it. You guys are trying to say that the market, the underlying market laws of supply and demand, do not have more authority over the actions of market individuals than the state, and I disagree with that. I think the market does. You guys are just saying they may get it wrong from time to time, but eventually they'll figure it out, and everything will be fine.
They don't ever figure it out.
Can I just respond to that real quick? You're saying we don't think the market has. They have the ability to control the original premise of the market. I don't think that market is ever even given the chance to exist.
No, but
the system is set up from square one.
I'm talking about
there's never been a laissez-faire market.
The laws of supply and demand exist independent of state policy. All they can do is try and manipulate those laws of supply and demand to their favor, and it will always never work because the laws of supply and demand are stronger. It's like price controls. They're not actually controlling the price. All they're doing is causing supply and demand to create a shortage or a surplus.
That's a theoretical. You're not talking about the people who are
it actually happened in the 70s.
I know, but people who are pissed off in the streets don't care about that.
That's not irrelevant. This is
it's not irrelevant.
That's the only game in town. Everything else exists out in the
right now we're making an academic argument to the point of whether
or not. It's not irrelevant because that's what you need for the upheaval of all the force in the world.
But my point is that market forces do not require a revolution to come to
market
exist.
Forces no, but government forces yes.
And market forces operate on license.
Yes.
The government's licensing them into existence.
If market forces required government to exist, if government was stronger than market forces, then there would literally be no selling of illegal drugs or illegal arms.
How about Silk Road?
What?
How about Silk Road?
That is an example of a market force taking over a government of power. You're saying that
Not anymore.
shouldn't exist.
And now it's closed.
Does the black market not exist?
Not like it used to.
There's failure.
There was.
In a pure free market, there's examples that there would be failures.
I'm sure there's
governments
something
have
to
literally
replace
kept
Silk Road.
millions
Silk Road
of slaves.
Yeah,
millions
why
of
not?
slaves. Enough slaves that those said slaves could have rebelled.
You guys
against the
are both.
government.
You guys are both making Hayek's fatal conceit. Is what you're doing.
No, I'm
yes,
not.
you are.
No, I'm
That's
not.
exactly what's happening.
I'm not
right
making
now.
I don't
mistake.
think it was a fatal conceit, but
It is a fatal conceit.
only to Hayek.
No, I'm
No,
not.
only
I'm not
to-
making the assumption that a government can actually control the economy for
Yes, you
anyone's
are.
benefit. No, I'm saying
No,
that,
no, not for benefit.
its existence.
You're saying
Exactly,
You're
for
saying
its
that,
existence.
You're saying
Yeah.
that they can control the market.
They
You're
set the
saying that they
terms.
can. Because if the market can never check them, if the market can never
It
actually
checks them all the time, but they ran it
no,
back in.
if the
Exactly.
market can never, if there is never, listen, if they're causing crashes and there's never an eventual
cause every crash.
Listen, if they're causing crashes and there's never an eventual crash which they cannot fix, then they are always in control.
The difference-
That's the fatal conceit that they can control it.
The difference between me and Hayek's fatal conceit is Hayek saw the fatal conceit of seeing like something that has to end eventually. I see the fatal conceit as something that never has to end. They'll just keep making that
Which
fatal.
is
Well, if
another
it never
way of
has to
saying
end,
that they're
why even
always
bother going
yes,
through the
that's
pain?
another way of saying that they're in control, complete
Status quo.
control.
That's the
That's-
whole reason
that's
why. You
exactly-
maintain
why,
the status quo.
Like, why are we fighting for anything? Like, why are we
Because
pushing
we're fighting for
this
incremental
Band-Aid
improvements.
To be ripped off?
What's the other option?
because
Quit?
eventually,
No, it sounds
eventually, if
It
everyone
sounds like
figures
according
it out,
to you,
Yeah.
like
You're
everything's
saying it
gonna be
literally
fine
is
if
not
we just
possible.
Keep doing what we're
No.
doing.
You're
no,
saying
it's
you're
not
saying
going to be fine for us. It's always going to be fine for the elite, the people that run nations.
You're
All
asking why
let's-
I'm nihilistic.
Let's move on
Right.
because I can't go into this any deeper because I'm getting sick of it. Let's move on. Let's just
Like, it kind of sounds
Let's
like
move
there's
on.
The
you
only
guys
way-
think there's always something that can be done to keep us at a relative, like the same level
no,
of prosperity.
our
No,
economy
no,
can
no.
tank.
There's something to
This-
keep.
No.
There's always something that can be done that can stop social
that can
upheaval.
keep the government
That can
in
stop
control,
what?
basically.
Social upheaval and the status quo.
Yes.
See,
There's
if
always something
everything-
that can be done
But
to
if
keep
everything
laissez-faire
tanks,
at bay.
people are just going to go against the government.
They can stop it from tanking because ultimately,
Well, if
that's
they
just
can stop it from
if they can
tanking
stop
this
it from
way,
tanking,
then they're
then
right.
they're always in
No,
control.
listen, you're saying
in total
they're
control.
not always
Well,
in total
if they
control.
can-
They have
it's like-
some
If they
control.
can stop
It's like-
it from tanking,
You're
then
saying-
why
you're
are we
saying-
even bothering?
This is a
You're
tyranny
saying
of the
as soon as
binary,
the
and this is
economy-
obscene.
You're saying as soon
This
as
is
the
not a
economy
theoretical
tanks,
discussion. There isn't a single instance in human history when there's been a free market that performed well
You're
and the
saying
government
as
hasn't been
soon
able
as-
to take
as
control
soon
of
as
it.
the economy
Fact.
tanks-
And that is
Right.
just it.
I'm not
it's
saying
like,
as soon as
it's
the
like
economy
saying that
tanks,
gravity doesn't
then
exist because
everyone-
theoretically it isn't
That's-
possible.
You're saying as soon
That's
as the
actually
economy
not
tanks,
true. There's
then
actually
everyone's gonna
there are
rebel
examples
against the
of
government.
there are examples of anarchist societies in human history.
They all died.
They all died. They did all
Then they
die.
don't
got taken
exist.
over.
There's also governments that died.
Yes, no
And-
kidding. But
and-
then another
But
one
they were
replaced it.
by governments.
Yes, but they were replaced by governments. But
Anarchist societies aren't replaced by
Nevertheless,
anarchist
you're- you're
societies.
talking about-
but what
You're
we just
talking
said has
about
no bearing on
governments
anything.
have been successful in keeping millions of slaves. So millions of people that could easily, if they wanted to, turn around and
You're also implying that people that they're doing it in they're doing it in a conscious sense. You like President Obama's like, thank God I have 300 million slaves for me.
no, not
That-
Obama,
no,
but in the
no.
past it has been very conscious.
No.
Governments have consciously
Yes,
kept
they have
millions
and,
of
and people
slaves.
and people nowadays look at democracy as an example of a non-slavery kind of government, but it still is a slavery kind of government
that
The
has
point-
even more
But
control
listen,
because it has
my-
even
my-
more force at its fingertips.
Nevertheless, my point is, and the point from the beginning of this whole entire digression has been that you guys are trying to say that the government will always be able to stop a market correction from actually being a pure market correction.
Yes.
Because it always
That
have
impli-
control over force.
But that implies that they are more powerful than market laws. That
Yes.
it is built upon that premise.
They don't allow pure market laws
that
to
is
exist.
literally the definition
The
of
one
the
who
fatal
controls the
conceit.
nukes
That is
controls
the
the
fatal conceit.
everything.
Yes, because the market tanks, let's kill everybody. That's exactly what a government would do.
Hold on, though. We're talking about a guy who has a theory and wrote it in a book.
So if the
and
market
and I'm
tanks-
talking to a guy with a microphone who
You are.
sells mortgages.
yeah, but you're not mad at me. But like
that doesn't mean
You're
anything.
wearing
So-
an American
So
flag
if
on
the
every
market
part of your
tanks-
body.
If the market tanks and you are the holder ruler of 1% of the top 99% of all of the world's wealth, and you control force, are you going to let people have an upheaval against you?
That's the thing.
No, you're going to kill them all, and you're going to keep
That's
control.
the point, is that a pure libertarian argument would be is like they can't do anything about it.
And they can.
And you're saying that they can.
The problem is that
you're saying that they can. And I'm saying that eventually,
it's happened over and over.
And I'm saying that eventually, logically, there has to be a point where they can't. And if there's not, then there's literally no reason to be a free market libertarian.
That's just why I'll never be a complete libertarian.
I'm not talking about being an anarchist. This is independent of anarchy. This is just a pure free market
Austrian economist.
look at economics.
But that's
and if
what I'm
that
saying.
is your
That's
opinion, then there is literally no reason to be a free market, because all that is like everyone, the best benefit can never exist. There is never a general benefit.
No.
It's always a benefit of
Austrian
people
economics,
at the expense of others.
Austrian economics in a vacuum is the best system.
Without a doubt.
If we could get rid of every government in the world right now and institute Austrian economics
and
everywhere,
voluntary society,
hands down the best system we could possibly implement. All I'm saying is that as long as these governments are in control, it will never happen.
Yeah, and
You need
until
a
Peter Thiel and Ron
grassroots-
Paul are in control of the nuclear war
the
codes,
market
it's not
the
gonna
market
happen.
is not going to correct this. The
What-
market
what's-
is not
what's
one
the-
day
all right.
going to magically
All right.
create
Hey,
anarchy.
all right, brothers,
we're gonna have to agree to disagree on this.
Final-
we need to move on to
do
something
not take
else.
it personal.
No, I don't take anything personally. I'm wearing an American flag shirt. All right.
Do not let us hurt your feels.
I don't have any.
And
feels
they
for
are
you,
the
bro.
heaviest things we carry. All right, we have to start wrapping up because, believe it or not, we're already
2
at
hours.
an hour. Almost, we're going to be at 2 hours.
What else was on the agenda to talk about?
I think we covered it.
If Rand Paul ever needs to filibuster again, I'm just saying that he ought
He's
to
going to
go.
call Nick and I in and put us in the front row with a bunch of questions.
Phil, you're a buster? Is that what you're saying?
I think this group is giving Maya, Gina, and Creighton a run for their money.
Well,
I
just want to say I agree. I see what you're trying to say, Creighton.
So do
Like,
Yeah, I totally do too.
I don't know.
I'm a theoretical purist, just like
I've been
Creighton.
down
You guys
that
are
road.
just bumming me out.
Yeah.
All right, kids.
Come to my side, Creighton.
Let's excuse me if you can't tell why I haven't talked most of this podcast. I just
Because Creighton's here.
Yeah.
well
And
that
Greg's here too.
but thank God because that cough medicine did nothing for me. I've been in the other room half the time throwing up or coughing.
THC
He has
negates
been
any
leaving.
effect of...
Let's talk about Jurassic World.
All right,
Everyone but Chris Pratt made terrible decisions all throughout.
Yeah.
But the dinosaur fights were pretty excellent.
They should have spent more time.
Why
giving
did that
you
girl in heels go hunting down kids in the jungle?
Right? They should have given more screen time to the actual T-Rex, because after that, like when the T-Rex finally does its thing, it's almost out of nowhere. Like that was my biggest problem with that movie. Is like
You didn't see the T-Rex the whole movie.
Yeah, it was like the T-Rex had very little screen time for you to set up. Be like, oh yes, there's a T-Rex that this lady can use.
And
Nick,
why are
And
they
it was
doing
supposed to be the
canoes?
same T-Rex from the
That was
original
a
Jurassic
Yeah,
Park.
there were raptors.
the same
there
exact
were raptor
T-Rex.
scars.
that was a
There's scars
Snapchat I
on
sent
it
to Chris Gold.
that are from the raptor fight at the first movie. Well, what drove me crazy? People have like these canoes down this river with
Skull.
all these herbivores.
Of all
Like, just
people.
because they don't eat people doesn't mean they
Responded
won't
with,
kill people.
Oh, that's mature.
They're dangerous animals.
They're fucking
Like
dinosaurs.
the hippopotamus. The hippopotamus kills a ton of people, but it
I
doesn't
think the
eat 'em.
hippopotamus kills more people than sharks.
Yeah, and it doesn't eat them though. The shark would eat people.
All right, I snapped Chris Gold a photo of Creighton.
Oh, okay.
Or a video, too.
You didn't give me warning. I should have done like a...
Oh, you were in your full Creighton. You're in your full
You've
Creighton
been
glory.
doing that all night, Creighton.
You
He's
didn't
had
even
opportunities.
All right, kids.
Why are we done?
Because we can
This
keep
isn't
going.
a 4-hour podcast.
Why
anymore.
not? This is the Goose's last podcast.
Well, he'll be around.
Well, it'll last for a little bit.
No, it's
Who knows?
trust me. From a
Maybe
guy
I'll
with
start my own
from
podcast.
a guy with
and I'll
Yeah.
phone in
from a
one
guy
day.
with experience. This is your last podcast for a while. Trust me.
Yeah, this is Creighton's last one for a while, too. 'Cause
No, I lived far away. It's
I know.
not easy to do podcasts.
it isn't. I know.
especially when you're on Central Time.
Oh, God.
I actually have a friend that's trying to start a sports podcast.
Well, that's not even closely related.
We don't have enough of those.
no.
We could
Yeah,
use
there
another
aren't
one.
enough sports podcasts.
Is it your,
what about
is
a
your friend that
libertarian
is it your
sports
friend?
podcast?
Is it your friend? What? Like, what are we going to talk about? Sports are so plebes.
They're so plebes. That's That's what they are.
If you want your friend to
Sports are foods.
if you want your friend to corner the podcast market,
Am I wrong?
tell him to do an interview show with comedians. There's not enough of those.
No.
No, not even close.
There's not
Is
enough.
Joe Rogan in Oklahoma?
Right?
Are there enough movie review podcasts?
No.
We know of one.
Yeah.
Hey,
The
we should
Obsessive
wait. No,
Viewer.
listen,
Yeah.
I got one. I
Quite
got
popular,
one. I got
actually.
one. We should make a podcast that's like Reddit for your ears.
Hey,
Thank you.
that could have been successful.
He was on that.
If
You're
Chris
talking to the
Gall-
co-founder.
You stole my joke. Thanks, Creighton.
You know what? We talked about Steam games that were cheap.
What? It sounds like
Steam.
Sounds like Reddit already.
You buy digital games through
If you-
this thing called Steam.
If you go to,
Cool.
You've never heard of Steam?
No,
It's
I'm not a
made by
gamer.
the people who made Half-Life.
I think this.
It's how they make all their money now because they don't make games
Hey
anymore.
man,
I know OnLive.
I've got half a beer. and
It's
I've got-
Steam. Have you heard of Origin?
I gotta kill some time
No,
before I
I
go.
don't-
That's
I don't
EA's
game.
version of Steam.
I can keep
So
going.
it's live stream games.
It's just kind of. It started out as you would register your CD keys and you could download the games anytime without the CD.
It's like
But
it's
then it
like
turned
the
into
iTunes
like a
store for video games.
Yeah,
okay,
it's
cool.
like iTunes for video games.
And it's
yeah.
hosted in the cloud.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. You have an account.
Yeah.
and
D-
you're
don't say
licensed
cool like
certain
you care.
games.
No, I'm never going to
Stop
game,
it.
but whatever.
Well, they do a lot of sales, so you can get like.
Yeah, no,
I
I'm
don't know,
sure
every
it's
once in a
popular.
while,
as
like
can be.
Assassin's Creed 1 is like $4. And you're like, cool. Let me
Oh,
get
wow.
that. Yeah, there'll be like. Some
And you have it
phenomenal-
forever?
Yeah. Like every
no wonder
summer
Harry gets so
and
excited about
every
it.
December they have Steam sales, and they're just insane. They're like 75% off popular games.
Now I totally get it. Because
Yeah.
Harry talks about it all the time, and I just am like, whatever. You know, that's nice. And then now it makes total sense.
You can end up spending like $100 on 30 Steam games, and you only play 4 of them.
Yeah,
And-
but you still have them.
Yeah,
forever.
you have them forever.
You can't
as
beat
long
that.
as Steam's around.
Yeah.
And it's pretty successful. It's gonna be around for a while. As
Oh, I
far
would
as
bet.
I can tell.
It's basically, it's iTunes or Amazon Music or whatever.
Well, yeah,
in the cloud.
and like I said, you don't play most of the games you buy, so they're basically just asking people for money.
Have you ever designed a video game?
No, that's a lot of work.
You could design a wall video game and sell it on Steam.
A wall? Oh,
A deer leader conquering all of America like Alexander the Great, or all of the world
I
like
like
Alexander
it.
the Great.
it's like Risk.
yeah,
but
it's
got-
Canadian and libertarian.
Conquering all of your women.
L'état des or L'état
Conquering-
But
des
yeah,
moi.
that's the sort of thing you can publish your own games on Steam, and
Conquering all of
they'll
your
take
women
like 20 or 30%.
generously
Like, yeah,
and
the App Store.
thoroughly.
Yeah, it's basically iTunes for video games, computer games.
I don't know. I wish people could have heard that joke, but Peffers was talking over me.
That's what I came here to do.
I
Make
know,
sure no
man.
one could hear your
You
lame
didn't smoke
jokes.
enough. You're very animated today. I don't like this Chris Peffers. I
need to
want the
mellow
Chris.
out a little bit.
You need to mellow out, bruh. Yeah, I like the Chris Peffers that.
Bust out your quad, bro.
What's going on in this podcast? It's out of control.
This podcast has never been under
This-
control.
yeah, like what did you expect? Like,
No.
do you guys even do show
I've never been
do
here.
you guys still do show notes?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you
No, you would be surprised at how.
squares.
how-
I've been to 3 shows recently. Only the first one had actual show notes.
Well, I just didn't share
It
them with you.
wasn't for
I didn't
me.
share them with you because I knew you wouldn't read them.
Yeah.
I only share them with people I, think there's a
read-
small chance.
I read Wikipedia article on Bernie Sanders' 2016 election.
You did.
And the Bernie Sanders himself
Hey,
Wikipedia
Hey, can we
article.
talk? Can we talk about
To
the
his
real-
credit, he is asking me, like, what are the topics beforehand, which is growth.
Oh no, I love it.
Hey,
I
can-
love it.
And Creighton,
Can we
Informed
talk about the
Peppers is
real
great
important
Peppers.
issue right now?
I will say, Creighton, that the last few episodes we've gotten it dialed in since we came back. We're doing this weekly. It's very under control. And then the second I saw you walk in that outfit, I knew there was no hope tonight.
It's
Hey.
the bandana that
No,
sells
but-
it.
but-
I gotta say, like the tank top and shorts, I might expect it, but the
Hey.
bandana.
And the
Hey.
fact that it's 9:30 at night and you're still wearing the sunglasses.
Hey,
Indoors.
Inside.
Indoors.
Corey Hart, yo. Anyway, can we talk about the real issue, the real important topic
Sure.
that we haven't
Game
talked
of Thrones
about?
kind of sucked this season.
Oh, don't even get me started. You can't talk about it because he hasn't seen all
No,
the
I
season.
haven't.
Well, the finale
No,
has no
shut up.
resolution.
Shut up.
None.
Well, there's not supposed to be.
There is. It's a finale. There's supposed to
It's
be
the
some
season,
resolution.
the season finale.
Right, but
it's a cliffhanger.
At the end of the, it wasn't even a cliffhanger.
it was
There
totally a cliffhanger.
It was just another episode. There weren't any stories
Hey.
that got resolved.
Lena Headey's boobs, though, right?
Yeah, I just didn't need to spend 7 minutes watching that
Yeah.
guy yell shame when it's the finale and nothing got resolved.
This is
That
what.
sounds like last week's podcast.
Anyway, this is the important thing. Star Wars comes out in December. Who all is going to go see it?
Probably I'll go see it.
What?
I haven't seen the original 3 since
He's off the podcast.
the 80s.
He's the podcast.
No, he's off of the podcast.
Okay, you can take
He
me
wasn't
off.
the podcast tonight.
I'll take all this stuff.
we
To my
he
place.
is the great. He is the great. What are they? The minarette.
The puppeteer.
Yeah, the puppeteer. He pulls all the strings.
Yeah.
Well,
He created the environment.
He's pulling
and
his
then
own
just
strings
pushed
in the
the
wrong
first
way.
domino. And
I don't have
He
to.
just has a soundboard and an SD card. That's his
Do
contribution.
you guys realize that a new Star Wars movie's coming out in December?
Dear
I
leader
do
just
realize.
lost his bodyguard.
And it doesn't
knew
have
that.
anything to do with the books, so I'm curious.
Me too.
I'm very curious.
I've never even seen the new 3 Star Wars movies.
Well, you don't have
You
to.
don't have to. You kind of probably will have
No,
to.
I bet they don't have much to do at all.
I
with
bet
The
they
Force
have a little
Awakens.
bit to do with like the history of like the Jedi
No,
or something.
I'm sure Anakin is still part of that story, but
Did you
it's not
see-
like.
did you see
in
that
so
the
is this
story.
where is Picard going to be in it?
Who?
No, I think
Picard.
Shatner's in this one.
Okay, good.
No, who played Janeway?
I totally didn't hear what you just said. Screw you, Spangle!
No,
You know what is funny? I was
This
at
one's got Admiral Adama.
Nobody cares.
Does he say it's a trap?
I was
This is
at
a great
PopCon this past weekend, and PopCon is kind of like Gen Con or Comic Con, but it's like a variety of pop cultures and geek cultures, and it was
So
really
is Comic-Con.
yeah, it was pretty fun and interesting.
So is any con, really.
Gen Con's pretty focused on games.
got
I'm
to
pretty sure anything con. In
got
the
to hit
name.
on a few nerd ladies, go out and meet the people and shake the hands and hung out with
The plebes.
Chick and Rupert and the plebes and all the nerds and everything.
Right. I mean, am I wrong? Is
But-
that not libertarians?
I will-
every day.
It is amazing to me.
I can't believe people watching the Super Bowl when the government's killing people in the Middle East.
It is true.
Like, are you kidding me?
But it is amazing to me.
The Super Bowl's on right now.
I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna keep talking.
No,
Maybe
that's
I'll
how-
get through it.
You should have known by now. That's how you do this podcast.
And so when
Hey, I got another hour in me, bro.
I will say it is funny how few Star Wars. There's like no Star Wars and no Star Trek at these
Sounds like
conventions.
the worst convention ever.
Yeah, there's a ton of Doctor Who. There's a ton of like Asian gaming.
well, those are what's
anime
popular
things.
right now. Star Trek hasn't they had the
Yeah.
movies, but they haven't really had a show
Right.
in a while.
That's like
Damn
that
right.
sounds like the
15 years.
worst. That sounds like the worst convention ever.
It is actually a lot of fun, and I don't understand any of the culture at all.
well, you met Q,
The-
right? He's
this-
from Star Trek.
I took an illegal photo of Q from Star Trek.
This is the thing.
and I was across the aisle from Flash Gordon
You
all
even
day.
had the sign that said no
I'm a-
photos.
Yeah.
I'm a
was
pretty
impressed.
open-minded person when it comes to nerd culture. Like I'm pretty much like every kind of nerd you can think of. And, I'm like the sciencey kind of nerd, the history kind of nerd, the comic book nerd, the Star Wars nerd.
like
Right.
Doctor Who.
Like I haven't actually watched that. I'm sure I could like
I've
it.
seen a couple episodes. It's pretty
But,
pretty
like-
British.
But like
very British.
one thing I am not a nerd with, and I cannot find myself ever becoming a nerd of, is like an anime nerd. And I know a
Yeah.
lot of
If
these
you watch
conventions-
Cowboy Bebop,
No, I
It's
watched.
solid.
I
He just
watched
doesn't
Dragon
know.
Ball Z, and I am excited.
Dragon Ball Z is not
I
good
am,
anime.
I am excited
if
for
you're
the new
not
Dragon.
in anime, Cowboy Bebop.
I am excited for new Dragon Ball Z. It's not going to be called Dragon Ball Z. I am excited for those episodes.
I hate
but
Dragon Ball Z
but
so
like
much.
anime, I'm just not. I can't ever do it. Like I used to work at a hotel, and we had an anime convention come in, and it was nothing but 14-year-old girls wearing cat ears. Like I don't know how
I mean, yeah,
people
that's
did
the
that.
majority of it, but there's some good animes.
That's like the majority of it.
But there's some cool dudes.
No, there's. But there's. I haven't been to
Have you
any
seen
anime
the art?
conventions.
Have you seen the
or-
artwork,
There's
man?
like 2 animes I'll enjoy. Like Dragon Ball Z, that's garbage. You'll have an episode that's like
Hey, you
a
can get-
fight scene.
you can get out
And then the
here.
next episode is Gohan's birthday, and
You
that's
get-
all that happens. We watch
What
this
are you-
6-year-old have a birthday.
What are you
get
even
out.
talking about?
Dragon Ball Z? It's terrible.
They
We're
actually
either
fixed-
so old
Cowboy
or
Bebop,
so
I
much
just-
cooler than what's going on
Cowboy
right now.
Bebop.
So do not give a shit.
Cowboy
at all.
Bebop has twice the action with
I gotta
1/10
stop
the
you because I'm not even listening to my own podcast.
We don't have to go down this road.
I stopped
Dragon Ball Z
caring
is
about
like
my
200
podcast
episodes
5 minutes
with
ago.
15 episodes with
Shut
something
up.
worthwhile.
we don't have to go down this road. All I was trying to say is that Star Wars comes down.
Here we go. Just turning off all the microphones. Greg, which one are you?
Why are we stopping?
We're not stopping. I'm just turning you off. Greg, can you talk?
I can talk.
No.
at all?
No.
Can you
there
hear
we
me at
go.
all now?
Okay. Yeah, good. Nick. All right, you can have a mic. Yes. All right, cool. There we go. It's just the 3 of us.
Well, This was an animated episode.
What it always is with Creighton here.
It's wonderful.
He can't hear you, bro. So I don't want to talk about anime.
Animated. Anyway, though, it is Nick Taylor's last probably in-person episode till he's home. You get a good job in Tulsa?
Yeah, Tulsa.
Oklahoma?
Lost that lonely
Why would anyone go to Oklahoma?
Because that's where money is.
Yes,
Is it?
that's exactly where the money is.
Yeah. So you're going to Tulsa, and when do you leave?
Next Thursday, actually.
Oh my God! Okay,
He got out of the military so he could be free, and then went for the FAA program, and now they tell him where to move, and he doesn't get to decide.
Hey,
but we talked about it.
there's
He's
a lot-
gonna
I
change it.
could have turned it down.
Aren't you
I
part-
could have turned it down.
Aren't you part
And
Cherokee?
She's staying here.
I could have turned it down.
Aren't you part Cherokee?
A little bit, yeah.
What about
They-
baby girl?
They've got Native American.
Going long distance for a while?
They've got Native
yeah,
camps.
for a little while.
All right.
That was Greg, by the way. Podcast listeners, that was Greg that said that.
It's just a kid.
Well, I am Cherokee, so I can say it.
I mean, we're all part Cherokee.
He goes,
aren't
it's
we?
where all the Cherokee-
Elizabeth Warren's part Cherokee.
Yeah, but he goes, it's where all the Cherokee, and I said,
I said there are. I said there's a lot of Native American.
Yeah, you said
Hey,
Cherokee.
I actually have a card saying I'm Chippewa, so I can put
They
it
have no
down
idea
on,
their
like,
mics aren't
iStep.
on, do they?
I'm
No,
Chippendale.
they're on. No, they're on. I turned them on because I realized that if I left the mics off, they'd keep talking, and the three of us would stop
Oh
talking.
wait,
So we
none of
just
that
have
was
silence.
on mic. This was gold,
No,
dude.
it's on mic now, man.
So you
is.
leave for
Oh.
Tulsa next Thursday.
Thursday.
What? How long?
Indefinitely, really.
Yeah?
Usually the typical time before I'll get a transfer is like 4 or 5 years.
No
Jeez.
kidding.
Yeah, so hoping to go somewhere.
So you'll be back to
So,
like
in,
Christmas.
so in 4 or 5
and-
years, we can have a podcast.
No, he'll be back
again.
at like Christmas and sure, for, what, 3 times a year?
The first Christmas I'm not sure about just
Yeah.
because of training and everything. But
Fresh fish.
after that, it's a
So we'll do.
thing that could
We
happen.
will make sure that we get the
Unless
band
the
back
black
together.
hole that is the state of Oklahoma. No, it's not as
Oh.
Hey,
bad.
you're not gonna be far from Texas.
Kansas is the worst state in the union.
Well, yeah.
Well,
No,
I don't
Have you
know
ever
about
driven
that.
through Kansas?
Have you driven
Kansas
through
is the
Missouri?
most
Missouri's
bo-
worse.
I've driven through Missouri.
No, I've
Kansas
driven
has,
through both.
Like, two towns.
Kansas,
through the
Kansas,
entire length of it.
Kansas
Honestly,
has
guys,
St. Louis.
Texas gets more credit than it deserves as far as driving through.
Well, they've got beaches.
you want to talk about
Like
a
that
state?
adds like a.
I mean,
adds like a
you have
whole
gas
level.
stations.
Yeah,
right?
but you can
Kansas will
drive.
have
You can
80
drive from one
miles
city
without
in
a gas
Texas, and it'll
station.
take you 14 hours to get to those beaches.
I have done
I know.
UTEP to Texarkana before, going through Midland and
Texarkana,
Odessa, and that's the worst
that's-
drive on the
it's
planet.
Smoking the
absurd.
Bandit, yo.
It's
It's ridiculous.
Hey,
There's like
there's
there's
beer
like
in
a
Texarkana,
It's like there's the
and they're
cool
thirsty
cities.
in Atlanta.
There's the cool cities in Texas, and then there's nothing, and that's all. That's all Texas is. It's
That-
like,
that-
Well, that's
Can
what
we
Kansas is like, except it doesn't
raise
have cool
can we
cities.
raise a beer? Can we
that's
raise
true.
a beer,
Kansas
Got
does have
Kansas
0
City.
cool cities.
gentlemen?
And that's nothing.
Gentlemen.
That's the best.
Are
it's
you
got.
mad that they're not listening to you while
Can
you're
we
talking?
can we raise a beer? Can we raise a beer?
I
to
drank
the-
all my
Zapping his
beers.
life force.
Can we raise a beer to the Dukes of Hazzard, please?
I don't want to be racist.
I don't feel like I feel
Yeah.
like that's
I
insensitive.
like my job.
Insensitive to who? Good old wholesome family watching TV viewers.
Orange sports car drivers.
There was an article today
I've never seen Dukes of Hazzard.
that there was an article today. Which mic are you?
It's just the only thing that I learned from that is that you can get away from the law if you cross the county line.
I'm just turning these all off. Okay. I read an article today that there were more black people on the Dukes of Hazzard than there were on Seinfeld and Friends.
I believe it.
You guys can talk now. There's nobody.
You know what? I read today that in the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, there's no conversation between two women. Think about it.
I'm going to refer this to Greg.
There is men talking to women and men talking to men, but no two women have a conversation.
I think that ISIS has a lot of things we can learn from.
Oh my god! All right, everybody, let's wrap up.
Let's wrap it up. This is the
All right,
soapbox.
Nick, say whatever you'd like.
Man, I don't know. It was a fun podcast. It was a good podcast to go out on. For
Definitely.
everybody,
It was a fun
I
one.
guess.
Was it?
It wasn't
think
for
so.
you because you were coughing.
I enjoyed it.
Did you get it? Did you get it?
What is happening? Nick, continue.
Go Rand Paul.
I might be buzzed a little bit.
No.
I ate like 3 hamburgers before I came over.
I thought I thought.
Oh God! What?
I thought Greg just brought a 6-pack, but there are 9 beers on this table. Okay.
I didn't eat before I went to the gym, so I ate before I went to the gym. I had like 3 hamburgers.
I'm really in one of our chats. Amir was talking about going to Wendy's, and I really just want this podcast to be over so I can go to get an Asiago chicken ranch.
Oh, those are the best.
Oh my God,
Aren't
yeah,
you gonna,
spicy.
Why don't you make some like mixed beans? Or
Do they
something?
still have Frescata bread at Wendy's?
That chicken better be free range.
I've been eating like 1,600 calories a day.
You got it all in like Tupperware containers.
I
And
know.
everything. You can make the meanest split bean soup.
I can't.
The meanest split bean soup.
I've been eating like 1,600 calories a day for a month, and so I was like, today I'm just F it. It's been a tough day. I'm gonna have a cheat
day. Is that a lot or is that not a lot?
No, like I'm supposed to eat 2,600.
Yeah, 2,000 calories is for like a 15-year-old.
But like I've gone
I
from
just eat whatever I want.
on June 12th.
If you work out, you're supposed to eat like 3,000.
Yeah.
On June 12th, hold on. On June 12th, I was 289, and as of this morning, I am 272. So I've lost a ton of. While you're applauding me, I will turn your mics on. And so I've just been working out an hour a day, and I have been eating like I just haven't felt like eating really. Hold on, huh? Yeah.
Have you been going?
No, I've been working out an hour a day.
What are you
every
doing?
day? Mostly cardio at this point. Because I really don't know what I'm doing
One
on
of
the
those
machine.
cardio buttons,
Listen. Yeah, really. No,
Just
hold
find some heavy shit and
Listen.
just start throwing it around.
No, listen, I promise you, go to a website, bodybuilding.com, some other website. Just find a rudimentary weightlifting plan. It could be for like 14-year-olds. Do it.
Right.
You'll benefit from it.
Do the circuit training.
It doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
if you're
Get
not
on those machines.
if you're not lifting weights,
lose.
then you're not doing it right.
Lifting
Yeah.
weights burns more
Cardio is for
calories,
your
right?
heart. It's not for anything that has to do with your body fat percentage or anything like
Right.
that, or your muscle
Weightlifting
strength.
always burns more calories, I think.
I
than
understand
cardio.
all of this. I just haven't gotten to it yet because I haven't had time to actually sit down and do it, and I don't want to just go in there and start
And-
throwing things around and hurt
Well, your
myself.
arms will
but after we
get
leave,
toned really
don't
quick,
take any
too.
more cough medicine. Go on your computer. And
I'm taking
figure out.
800 milligrams of ibuprofen, 2 bennies, and a cough medicine, and I'm
Ibuprofen.
passed
And
the
a
fuck
cough
out.
medicine.
It's always best to take the cough medicine before the workout.
Right before you drive to Wendy's, you
Yeah.
get an Asiago.
But so like I'm just like starving today, so I'm just like I'm gonna hit my calorie goal today because I just can't take it anymore. I'm not miserable. I'm not hungry all the time. It's just like for whatever reason I was just like I just need to eat something today, and I'm gonna eat crap. And
I feel like
I didn't
that
enjoy
every
it. I didn't even get through my Panda Express this afternoon. I haven't had Panda Express in a month, and it was just like ugh.
So much MSG, bro.
Give me a smoothie. It's too salty. Yeah, I want my smoothie back. So I'm going full smooth tomorrow.
I eat a
So,
lot
Nick,
of,
we were
I ate
almo-
a lot of Jimmy John's.
We're almost done. Is there anything else you would like to conclude with?
No, I mean, I know a lot of people will probably hate me after this podcast, along with Greg, for expressing my opinions.
I get
on-
hated all the time.
on
Not
free
one listener
market.
likes me. that's pretty accurate.
But I hope I'll be able to join you guys again soon anyway.
We will
And,
Skype you in once you get in there and get settled, and you can talk about changing the federal government from the inside.
Yeah, hopefully.
Are you
Bring
are
this
you
all
throwing down
crumbling to the
words
ground.
right now?
What?
Are you throwing down words?
No,
I think he did throw down
I think you're
some
throwing
words.
down words, bro.
throwing down words.
Yeah, dude. Bro.
He knows that I'm an inside job kind of guy. I am.
You know, if there's anyone at this table who's more for working within the system, it's me.
and I'm telling him to change it from inside.
Well, the implication was that I was arguing against that.
Oh, you're saying don't do it?
That's not what I'm saying.
I have multiple military friends that are now libertarians because of
Yeah,
me.
dude.
Exactly. You're changing
So-
it from the inside. You're like a virus in the
Yes.
federal government.
It's gonna spread.
Dude, he's
My
totally,
libertarian friends are
I'm
going to
telling
talk
you what,
to other
dude.
non-libertarians.
I've heard him talking on his phone in his room. He's totally part of Jade Helm.
I'm telling everybody that Nick Taylor is a virus spreader.
Yeah.
All right, Peffers.
No one tell me what happened on True Detective because I'm watching that right now.
It sucks. That's what happened.
It doesn't suck.
Spangle's the only person who would possibly know what you're talking about.
I just watched.
Lots of people know what True Detective is. It was pretty.
You know
popular.
who Alexandra Daddario is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you know what True Detective is.
Yeah. Good Lord. I watched the first season last week, and I got to tell you, I thought it would be better than it was based on the reviews.
I've seen the first episode. It was pretty good.
It's not bad. I think Matthew McConaughey is really good in that, but this next season, Vince Vaughn is not believable as a bad guy whatsoever. He walks in and
I thought he was one of the detectives, and you're already saying he's a bad guy.
He's
what
like,
did I just say?
He's like,
what did I just say?
He's like this Vegas hotshot casino
Wait,
manager
is it
guy.
Swingers?
And
You're saying
Yeah.
Vince Vaughn isn't believable as a douche because that's all I believed him as.
But it's not like a douchey role. He's like, I'll break that guy's legs for you. And all you're thinking is like, where's Owen? What's his face? Coming into this broken nose, and they're going to go
Owen
pick
Wilson.
up bag chicks. All right.
Vince Vaughn's a Ron Paul guy, all right?
Greg?
Show some respect.
I think he is, yeah.
Oh, he is. He actually is.
Oh, what else happened this week? You know what? Next week we have Abdul on. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna be
Abdul's
me and
no way.
Abdul,
You got
You guys doing it on Thursday again?
Yep.
and so we're gonna talk about. Well, we'll see. Because I made.
I remember
a meme
I
with
wasn't
him
invited
today.
last time there was a special guest.
No, none of you are invited.
I might
You're not invited.
You
I might
think
have
I'll
to go.
embarrass you in front of Abdul?
I might
No,
have to come.
I can't have Abdul punching Creighton in the face
Nah.
because there's only one.
Are you kidding me?
Because
That
if Creighton hits back, it's a hate crime.
it sounds like if Abdul punched Creighton in the face, it would be the best episode of the podcast.
It probably
ever.
would. The last time that happened,
It was pretty
Last
long.
time Abdul punched you
no,
in the
the
face.
last time somebody tried to punch me in the face, it was a great story.
I forgot that already happened with someone.
It's pretty good. It's one of my favorite memories ever.
I'll never forget.
So that's next Thursday.
I'm
you know
totally
what?
coming.
I am going to have
He's gonna
some
show up with
outside
his
the box
guitar.
questions prepared for him because I imagine we're going to talk local because that's his emphasis. But
Maybe.
you never get to hear Abdul talk nationally very often. So I'm going to see if he will engage in a discussion about that and maybe even foreign policy oriented.
Totally, yeah.
Well,
Be
we
into
will
that.
do that. And then I apologize, Ryan Connor. I did not get to Brazil and the team that's leading the Liberty movement
Yeah,
down
dude,
there.
isn't that awesome?
Yeah, we will discuss that probably at the end of the next show
Brazilian Liberty movement?
last time or next time. And
Yeah,
other
dude.
than that, Nick, it's been awesome getting to hang out with you and getting to know you since you've been on. I did not get to
Goose.
experience Goose because that was before my wall time. That was GL.
That was 16.
GL wall.
That was literally 100 episodes ago.
that love and feeling.
And but it's been fun, and we'll have you on when you get out there and get settled. And best of luck, buddy.
Oh man, I gotta call an IP violation on the prom queen of Liberty.
What?
She stole my IG pic. C Spangle.
I have no
Check
idea
out
what
she-
you're talking about.
Oh man,
Whitney.
Yeah, that literally was
man.
gibberish.
I don't have Instagram, so I don't know.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds
that's
on.
what IG is.
the
Okay.
the
No one
prom,
knows what it means, but it's exotic. It gets people going.
the prom queen of Liberty, Whitney Davis, writes, captioned this, and then her caption is Creighton's outfit makes me want to vomit and LOL at the same time. America as fuck.
Oh,
So, and she stole my photo and put it on her Instagram.
Oh yeah, hi Whitney.
Hey babe. Hey babe. I just turned into Sammy Davis Jr. for whatever reason. Hey babe. Anybody want to see my glass eye? All right.
I don't even know what that means.
I know.
Like-
I know who
Goddamn
Sammy
kids,
Davis
man.
Jr.
Yeah,
is, but-
that's all I know about Sammy Davis Jr.
You don't know that he was the original black Jew.
Yeah,
He's
okay.
Jewish?
Yeah,
But
he
I
converted.
don't know anything about.
Rat Pack, Frank Sinatra,
Right.
Dean
I
Martin,
know-
Glass Eye, AIDS.
I didn't know he had
drug
glass
use.
eye.
Okay, yeah, I don't know any of that.
The
I
Sahara.
know he was part of the.
I know
Rat
he was
Pack.
the Black Rat Pack guy.
Yeah, that's,
Token.
that is the extent of my Sammy Davis Jr. knowledge.
I swear to God, I'm putting
played
you
an
guys through an
instrument, too.
education
He played,
camp,
like,
and you're not
trumpet or
going to be able to
something.
leave.
You're talking
Seriously.
to a guy
He played
who's
like
been,
trumpet or
no,
something,
listen,
right?
literally. You
No.
can,
No.
you can ask Nick here. I've been listening to nothing but like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Bobby Darin for like the past like 6 days.
Yeah, man, I've gone straight back to the 20s.
Nah.
That's way after the 20s.
Greg, are you
I have
finished?
been listening
I'm
to Cab
finished.
Calloway though.
All right, your turn. Creighton.
My turn.
Oh,
All right.
You
it's
fight.
now
Is
it's
it my
Creighton's
turn?
turn.
Creighton's time to talk, everybody. Let's all be quiet. Let's all just sit here
My
quiet.
final words. American girls and American guys, they'll always stand up and salute. They'll always recognize when they see Old Glory flying. There's a lot of men dead, but we can sleep at home at night when we lay down our heads. My daddy served in the army. He lost his right eye and he put a flag out in our yard till the day that he died. He wanted my mother, my brother, my sister, and me to grow up and live happy in the land of the free. All right, I'm good. That's all I wanted to do.
He's good, guys.
I just want to point out that no lyrics were needed.
No.
We've been to Liberty Karaoke with him before.
Memory.
We know how he feels about Wagon Wheel.
That was straight from
Wagon
memory.
Wheel is the shit, bro.
Let's hear.
For real?
Yeah, let's hear a little bit.
I don't.
Heading down.
Oh yeah. Head down south to the land of the pines, on my way to North Carolina, staring at the road and pray to God I see headlights.
Keep going.
No, dude, I'm drunk.
5 minutes ago, I might be a little bit buzzed.
Well, it looks like somebody's hanging out tonight.
I told you guys we had plenty of time left because I got to kill some of this off. So,
Well,
I only had beer. So,
And 3 cheeseburgers.
are there any left?
Yeah, there's one in the fridge if you want it.
Oh, dude, totally.
no, you can't be here all night. I have to go to bed.
Well, you're gonna watch True Detective with me.
Oh God.
No one listening heard what Creighton just said.
He's gonna watch True Detective with me. All right, thanks for listening, everybody. I don't think I have.
I'll be back next week, everybody.
No, you won't.
I'm actually thinking about getting one of those Darth Vader costumes that are like movie quality.
I'm putting up the video.
How much could Star
all
Wars
right
have
that it's
possibly
not
spent
movie
on a costume like that?
Dude,
right?
if I get a Darth Vader movie quality costume, I'm keeping that thing forever.
Oh,
Did
man.
Did you see the thing I posted the other day on Facebook? The Star Wars comic.
No.
Okay, look at my Facebook.
I'm pretty
page.
sure we're friends, but I don't think I've seen a post from you in a long time.
Look at my Facebook page. Just when you
Okay.
get a chance, look at my Facebook page. It is literally the saddest one-page comic strip I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I think I did see that, and I didn't get it at all.
Well, look at it again.
Okay. I think it had like Leia, or it was like about. It had like a. Yeah, it had all the Skywalkers in it,
Do you
right?
watch Star Wars? Have you ever seen?
Yeah, I've seen Star Wars.
When? How many times?
Growing up, like 100 times for the trilogy, and then.
How do you
the
not
fake
know what's
trilogy.
happening in that?
I gave
comic?
up. I literally. I'm sorry, listeners. I literally just tuned out like 5 minutes ago and started posting the video of Creighton singing drunk on Instagram.
So, as far as next week
I'll
goes,
check it again,
I'll
but
be
I don't
here, bro.
think I recognize anything.
No, you can't. You're not invited.
I don't care.
He's gonna have his
kicks down your door.
I know where you
wearing
live.
American flags.
All right.
I'm gonna show up in some other.
My poor voice.
This should be my new shtick.
I have nothing. My poor voice can't handle anymore. It's just been too freeing, too liberating. My vocal cords.
Yeah, liberation, freedom,
All right, kids. Thank you for joining us.
wreck.
Thank you for joining us here on this episode. Oh, the video of Creighton singing is on Instagram at We Are Libertarians, and it just started playing, and I looked down, and it's hilarious.
oh, I would imagine.
All right, thanks for joining us. This has been an episode of We Are Libertarians, and as always, we promise
To do better next time.
Music for We Are Libertarians is provided by Hoosier musician Brian Keith Wallen. Please check out his website, briankeithwallen.com. The song is Bad Spell.